see how that changes.
Interesting to note that window sills give the best lighting.
It is, because I wanted to use this ring light. Sulu was actually setting up the ring light for me, but I'm like, okay, now this is actually working. Okay, so now it's on broadcast. Can you guys enable your videos?
No, we can't.
Okay.
No, fine.
Then it's fine. Let me try to see allow participants, allow panelists to start video. Yes, I clicked it. Is it fine? Yay! Okay. We are getting somewhere.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, technology. Oh my God.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
So let me see who we are missing. So Noah is here, Zama is here. Musa, you joined twice, but I don't think that should be a problem. Aurelia is here, Kile is here, Nande is here. The only person that we should be missing is actually Stha. Let's see, did I see Kim? Yes, Kim is here. So that's fine, because Stha said she'll be joining a bit late because she is in Beijing. So the whole 6-hour time difference, yeah, because of that, she'll be joining just a few minutes late. So, okay, let me see. People are joining. Okay, we are currently on 91 people. So,
Wow, that's good.
I know.
Already.
I really do think it's going to get to a point where it's going to shut down and other people won't be able to join anymore. Yeah. So Kelebogile was saying Zoom is gonna kick me out. Yes, Kelebogile, Zoom will definitely kick me out, and I can't guarantee anything. What I can do is that when we reach the capacity of okay, there's 96. I'm gonna lock it. I'm going to lock it so that other people don't come, and then Stha can just text me when she wants to get in, and then she'll be able to get in. So now I'm just gonna lock it now, so that no more, because now we're on 97. It's increasing, so that's fine. Wow. Okay, ladies. It's about to actually start. So okay. So what's gonna happen is that I am just going to introduce myself, as well as Valo Learning Center. And then once I have done that, what I'll do is that I'll take it to you to introduce yourselves and perhaps tell me your intention for today. And then we can take it from there. We can then start and actually, okay, so microphone, let me see what people are having issues with before we get into it. I'm not sure if my microphone and camera are muted, struggling to find that. Okay, let's see if I have to unmute all the participants' microphones and a camera. Okay. Hello. Okay, panelists, you guys are used to using this thing. Let me know if the attendees' video and microphone is not working well. What should I be clicking?
I have no idea.
Okay,
I
have no idea.
Follow host view, active speaker view. Okay, let's see, active speaker view. I have that, and then unmute. No, I don't want to unmute people. Oh yeah, unmute all the panelists, and then let's go to attendee settings. Attendee settings. Is there anything that I can do here?
Hi, Zanele.
Hi, Aurelia. Please help.
So I think you've also muted my videos. It's not showing me.
Oh yes, let's see. Ask start video. Yes, I see yours was off. I don't know why. Okay, your video should be coming up now. I hope Aurelia, you'll also help me with unmuting the attendees and making sure the attendees can see video. Because I'm really not sure, ladies.
I think Aurelia is on mute.
Aurelia is on mute. Let's see. I didn't mute her on her. I think she muted it on her side.
Yeah.
I think just type a message so she could see.
Okay.
Okay, you should be.
Okay, let's type a message.
It's still not going through. Maybe.
I'm not muted. I'm not muted.
Oh yeah, we can hear
okay.
you now.
Okay, we can hear you now. Yes, we can hear you.
All right, cool.
Okay, so Stha wants to get.
Nande's mic is off though.
Okay, so let me just unlock.
I muted myself. It's fine.
Okay,
cool.
so that's fine. So for the attendees, please tell me if you can hear me, if you can hear us, because we can't start if you can't hear us, because I think all the panel members are now sorted. So, oh, we can hear you. Oh, I'm glad Charity can hear us. So now we are back in business. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so is everyone ready? Aurelia, is there anything you want to do before we start there?
No, I'm listening to you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, I'm glad people can hear us. So now it's business as usual. It's business as usual. So let's actually get into it. So when it comes to me, because I know this was actually advertised on so many platforms. So I know there are other people who still don't know me, who necessarily didn't get the link from my profile. So I'm just going to introduce myself so that people know who I am and Valo Learning Center, why we are actually doing what we are doing. So I am Zanele, and most of the times I like saying that I am an evolving woman because I don't believe in attaching myself to a certain title, because I feel like most of those things are temporary. So for me, how I would define myself is that I am just an evolving woman. But when it comes to, the only thing that I know for sure is my why. I do understand my why and what I'm trying to do actually. So when it comes to my why, I got to a point whereby I understood that really when it comes to a why, I couldn't do it alone. So because of the fact that I couldn't do, I couldn't deliver, or rather perform at a certain level alone, that's why I started Valo, which is my company. And for people who know Zulu would know that when it comes to Valo, no is actually an English word, and Valo is a Zulu word, which is actually fear. So that means no fear, and it's based on the fact that I believe that if you remove fear in almost anything, you can conquer literally anything in life. So that's how I operate, and that's why I started Valo, because in as much as I do understand the why, I just needed a certain okay, so I just have to unlock Stha. Okay, there's Stha. Let me unlock her quickly. Technology. Okay. Oh no, that was not on Stha. That is on Zama. Let's try to do this on Stha. Where's Stha? Can't see Stha under attendee. Did Stha join as a panelist, or did she join as an attendee? Lerato, please tell me that side. Did Stha join as a panelist, because she's not under the panelists list? So Stha, if you can hear me, please remember to join via your panelist link, because if you joined via the general registration link, you won't appear on the panelist side. So that means you won't have the same rights as all the other panelists. So let me just search her here under attendees. Let's see, Stha. Okay, she's also not under attendees. She's okay, ladies. Can I just do this quickly? Let me try to call her here. Okay, let's do that.
Can we maybe introduce ourselves while you're still trying to get hold of Stha, so that
Yes, so I'll mute myself now and please do that. Yes, yes.
I'm not gonna, someone else can start.
Okay, should I start? Hi everyone, my name is Zamantungwa Khumalo. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but like Zanele said, I'm a work in progress, continuously evolving, and I really look forward to this afternoon and to having really great conversation.
Hi, Zama.
Hi, Levu.
Hi, Zama.
Oh, this is going to be weird. Okay, I'll go, but I think then should we do it alphabetical order? Then it just does look so easier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go now. Hi, everybody. I don't know if the attendees can see us, but my name is Lebogang Maimane, and I am a corporate and finance lawyer, currently based in Jersey/UK. Complicated story. But I'm a South African qualified lawyer. I think I've been this side now for 2 years, gone by quickly. But yeah, similar to, I like the descriptions Zanele had about being an evolving woman. I am somebody who's very passionate about the continent, very passionate about the empowerment of young Black women. And I'm keen to have this discussion and see where, like, everybody's different views. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Aurelia Nxumalo.
Hi, Aurelia.
An advocate. I was admitted last year, October. So it's a new role for myself and I'm enjoying it, but I am an in-house, I'm in corporate counsel. I was a legal consultant in the mining, electronic manufacturing, even timber, agricultural space. So I was head of legal of that company and resigned in December. Currently, I'm the lead in legal and transformation for Youth Economic Alliance, which is a non-profit organization assisting youth entrepreneurs in mainly the IT space as well as the agricultural space. I am also an evolving woman. I wear a number of hats outside of being a mom as well. I also co-founded The Professionista, which is a platform for women in corporate in all industries, across all industries. It's a networking platform. And then I recently also co-founded a platform called The Learned Friend, which takes a legal snapshot of all the legal topical discussions of the week in South Africa, especially around COVID-19 and the constant changing regulations. And what else? And I'm a lover of life and I'm a happy-go-lucky ray of fucking sunshine.
Yes.
Okay,
I think Kim is next. If you're going, I'll go. Hi, everyone. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Kim.
My name is Kim. I am a trust specialist for a bank, one of the big 4 banks in the country. And I have been in corporate for over 12 years. And I'm currently studying towards my BCom in banking and investment management. I've got a few diplomas here and there that I've done in financial planning. And last year I had the opportunity to study through Harvard Business School, do a leadership course through them. Also, just like Zanele said, I'm also an evolving woman. I'm constantly finding ways to improve myself and share whatever I can with people that are in my circle. And I enjoy connecting with like-minded women. I've also got a platform on Instagram called An Ode to Style. It's like a career blog, and the purpose of my blog is really to empower women and to encourage them to live meaningful lives and take control of their careers. So that's me.
Can I go next? Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So I am Nande Lunguza. I'm currently a third-year CA trainee at a financial services institution. I guess I'm in a unique, I suppose, awkward position in my career where I need to start mapping out the next phase of my journey. So as a beneficiary of the Tutuka Bursary Fund, I really do understand the importance of having someone believe in you at a very young age. So like some of the things that were key takeaways for me being a part of that community were the importance of belonging, the importance of sharing knowledge, as well as the importance of mentorship. So that's why I reached out to Zanele a few weeks ago, just trying to get involved in what she does with her learning center, and just being a part of cultivating and motivating aspiring CAs. But I mean, there's a lot I can say. Also, I'm wet behind the ears when it comes to corporate. So this is like my third year in corporate. But I've seen some things, and I've heard some things. So I'm really looking forward to sharing some of my experiences with you guys, and just seeing how we can just help each other out so that we can survive and thrive in corporate. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Mosa Tsebane. I'm a recently qualified chartered accountant. I'd also like to describe myself in this stage of my life as a social impact entrepreneur. So I'm involved in several ventures at the moment, one being the Good Year Project, which I founded.
I can see you.
Who that?
Who's
interrupting me?
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself and go back and see.
Oops.
Can I continue?
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So
I'm back. I see Nande, you're about to speak. Sorry for that. I saw Aurelia introducing herself. Aurelia, I'm grateful for your leadership qualities. You want to say something there?
Sorry, Musa was speaking.
yes, so we're busy with intros at the moment, Zanele.
Yes. Oh, okay. Musa, you can continue. I thought Nande just finished speaking. Okay, that's all right.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So yeah, as I was saying, I founded the Good Hair Project in Feb this year. Very tricky time for a new business because COVID happened. So I'm busy trying to find out how we can still move the purpose of the foundation forward, even though we can't operate. So that's one of my ventures. Another venture, which has become like my full-time hustle, is X Capital. So I joined them in March. And what we're busy working on is a project that's aimed at helping businesses in townships with their deliveries, which is something very exciting and innovative that I've been involved in. And I think all of this, what I've been involved in so far, post articles, is related to my purpose of helping people. So that is also why I joined the conversation. I'm hoping that there are a lot of people that are hopefully going into corporate, and that through this conversation, then we can help them sort of navigate that really rough terrain and make it out alive. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to get out of this conversation today. Thank you so much.
I think I'm next. My name is Nell. I'm currently a corporate and finance lawyer in Jersey, in the same location as Lebo and Zanele. I previously practiced in South Africa in the mining M&A space. As everyone has already said, we're all a work in progress. So every day is a challenge to learn and grow. My current interests and ventures are in small agricultural businesses in South Africa and SADC. So hopefully we'll see that grow in the next few years. And generally, I have a huge passion about empowering Black females, especially in South Africa, through mentorship and whatever tools we've learned in our journeys. And hopefully this is a great platform for you guys to learn, and hopefully we get a few gems from each other. And hopefully this will be a good stepping stone to network, but also to collaborate together. And hopefully, as everyone has said, you know, make effective changes, not only in our continent, but hopefully also in our nation.
Okay. Am I assuming that everyone has introduced themselves except Stha? Awesome. Okay, so Stha, everyone was just introducing themselves. It's a pity that myself and you, we didn't actually hear all of these great introductions, but I'll just give you some time to introduce yourself before we move forward.
First of all, guys, I'd like to apologize for coming late because I had previous commitments, but I'm glad to be here. I'm currently in Beijing, China, so it's what now? Probably 23 minutes past 8. And my name is Stha Mavundla. I am the founder of Zonke Pty Ltd, which is a management consulting firm laser focused on leadership development of women in particular. The whole basis and the foundation of Zonke was basically helping women to become bigger and greater leaders using tools that are tailor-made for them. So yeah, because we think very differently to men, and that's how I started Zonke. I'm also the founder of Zonke Foundation. Zonke Foundation is passionate about 2 things. 1, women empowerment. The second one is early childhood development as well. So yeah, I hope to learn more from you guys and hope to share some of the things that I know too. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad everyone is here now and we can actually continue. So my introduction was actually cut because of technology. But anyway, I'm just going to continue where I left off. So for people who joined in a bit later, what I did say earlier on is that I am an evolving woman and I am trying to fulfill my why through Valo Holdings. And I did explain the fact that Valo is no fear. So it's clearly on the fact that I do believe that if you remove fear in everything, you can actually achieve so much. So we can all agree that when it comes to the why, because it is like the bigger why, we have to break it into pieces and make it more practical so that we really achieve what we're trying to do. So in my case, I do believe that what I'm trying to do is to break the cycle of poverty. But then obviously, if you think about it, you'll be like, Zanele, that is so high level. Where do you even start, right? So that's why I have Valo. And currently I'm focusing on Valo Learning Center because I do believe that through education, you can actually do something there to start breaking the cycle of poverty, because the more children you actually educate them, the more university students you empower, then you are doing something. So basically that is me. And that's why we have Valo, and that's why we have Valo Learning Center. And that is why we actually have this type of webinar today, because today I invited all of the, like everyone in this panel. I know for sure these are fearless women, and I know you have informed opinions on this subject. And with me, really, whenever I think about what we are trying to achieve on Valo Learning Center, I'm always trying to think about, because I'm an accountant, so I'm always trying to think about the risk and what we are doing when it comes to that. And what I've seen is that in as much as, yes, on Valo Learning Center, I can give them all the technical content of like, this is how you pass accounting. But then the reality is that we all have different backgrounds. And as and when we are going through the life journey, there are obstructions. And these obstructions can be merely because of where we are coming from. So I just thought, because this is the first webinar where we are having such a discussion, I really thought that if we can have a platform whereby we really do unpack it from the corporate perspective of like, okay, now you have Zanele who's trying to empower a child so that they are educated, and eventually there might be an entrepreneur like Mosa and Stha. Eventually they can actually be in corporate like most of you. But then the thing is, obviously they should be preparing. Like at this point, they should be preparing for the challenges that they will be facing there. So that's why I would like to say the purpose of the discussion today, rather, it's more like a constructive discussion. It's not really about us highlighting all the negative areas, of which I do encourage you to highlight all the negative areas, because it is a reality, and we can't sit here and act like it's not there. So I was hoping that we can highlight those areas, highlight those challenges, but in turn, because we actually want to empower the students or people who are actually in corporate and they're like, I feel stuck, I don't have the opportunities. How do I navigate my way around this? So am I saying everyone in this panel has the answer to this? Definitely not. Do I think I have the answer to this? Definitely not. I do not have an answer. But however, I know if we work together, if we start this conversation, we can get somewhere. We can definitely get somewhere. Okay, Lerato, I see people are on the comment section. So everyone who's on the comment section, whenever I'm talking, I don't believe in multitasking. So if you're asking me something and I'm talking, Lerato will answer you. But then if I'm not talking, I'll definitely answer you. So with regards to that, moving on forward, today's topic, of which I'm excited for, I'm really, really excited for this topic. And this is because with my type of personality, I am, other people can say it's like I'm this person who always has this energy and I'm always in my happy bubble. So it's one of those things whereby when I have such conversations with my friends or colleagues, it's like they feel like maybe I don't understand that, of which most of the times I am that person who's like, I'm working on my energy and my mindset, so this can affect me, right? But in reality, it is affecting me. And if I can be honest, it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe I don't have as much control in this area, so I want to focus on what I can control. But I've seen that I've been ignoring it for such a long time. I've been ignoring the fact that it is there. There can be certain things that happen, but I would just be like, okay, my positive affirmations, I'm leaving it here. So that's why we are actually having this, because I brought people who I know that they're not afraid to share their opinions on something and to actually share something constructive moving forward, right? So in order for me to just start this conversation, I just want to say, when it comes to the panel, I will be asking certain questions, and maybe I might point out to you, or maybe if I don't point out to you, if someone else is saying a certain thing, feel free to like maybe raise your hand, raise your book or whatever, so that we know that you want to talk next, right? So that's what we'll be doing. You guys know, there wasn't much planning around this, because we want this conversation to be so authentic, because I do believe that when everyone is being authentic, they offer so much value. So in starting this conversation, I started to think about, because we said corporate and complexion conversations, right? So I started to think about, okay, now we are talking about corporate, like what is corporate, right? Because I know that there are certain people who have joined just because they feel like this is a juicy type of topic, but then I just thought I can unpack that, like, what is corporate? What are we talking about? And when we're talking about complexion as well, what are we talking about? And why is it even an issue? Why do we have to put them together and have about 10 people talking about it? Why is that necessary? So when it comes to corporate, especially when I did my research and I also looked at, your Google definitions and everything, basically corporate is an entity. And in as much as it is an entity, what's interesting to know is that it's actually derived from the Latin word, which means to form a body, right? So whilst I look at that, I looked at the fact that, okay, so this means that, a body is being formed, and this is actually an entity. So if this is an entity, and also there's a body being formed, it's being formed by different people, right? So I stopped and thought, okay, so if this corporate is being formed by different people, so that means these people here, they are all from different backgrounds, they, different ages, different beliefs, different, all of that, right? So these are people bringing different things to this type of corporate, right? And whilst I was looking at both of them, I started to think about, I don't know how many of you actually follow Deepak Chopra, but you know, Deepak Chopra is big on meditation. He's more like a spiritual leader. You guys have seen him on like Oprah. And I like how Deepak Chopra likes saying that as human beings, we are just spiritual beings having a human experience, right? So I started thinking about the fact that, okay, if this is where it starts, we are all spiritual beings, we are having a human experience. So that means all of us, we all having different experiences, but eventually we get to a point whereby we can, as a group, as a collective, or even maybe it started by one person, but it can get to a point whereby we are forming a corporate. So that means this corporate is informed by different beliefs and different people, right? So now I started to think about, okay, so now you have these people, spiritual beings. What's happening? They are now having human experiences. So in terms of them having human experiences, they're having different human experiences, right? And then, whilst I'm on that one, the other interesting thing that I found when it comes to corporate is that the word corporate was mostly searched only in the 2000s. And this is mainly because of the fact that as time goes, like, you know, people are becoming more aware of actually starting companies actually growing, right? So now the other thing that I started to think about is, okay, if this is the case, then who are the people who were actually the trend setters, so to say? Who are the people who started forming these big companies that we know? Most of the time, these big brands that we know, who are these type of people? And you start thinking, okay, if these are the people who form this type of corporate, what are their complexions? What were their human experiences, right? So you start thinking about it in because I like approaching a topic in an objective way, whereby I'm like, okay, in this way I'm not influenced by any side, but I really want to understand, how did it get to a point where we can now actually speak about corporate and complexion, right? So now we're faced with an issue whereby we do have corporates, but then these corporates, for most of the times, you know, who are starting these corporates and who actually succeeded in this type of environment, right? And the other question that I was asking myself is, if these people started these corporates, these type of people, it can be a type of race. This can be white people. If they started these big corporates, then let's say when it comes to the other race, when they are joining these corporates, do you see how these, maybe let's say this race has started these type of things, and now you have maybe another race, another complexion, another gender, like all these other people actually joining this type of group. And now I was thinking, so what's going to happen now? What's going to happen? And I started thinking about myself, because I just told you now about Valo Learning Center. And I'm like, I'm starting Valo Learning Center, and currently the only person who's helping me is Lerato. We are two Black women. If I were to grow Valo Learning Center and it becomes a big corporate, I'm a Black woman, later on, when it comes to me hiring people, who would I give preference to? When it comes to the opportunities that are at Valo, who would I give preference to? So I started having those conversations in my mind, and that is why the question that I would like for us to start with today is, when it comes to the relationship between the corporates that have been formed as we know them, as well as us people who are spiritual beings having a human experiences and having different upbringings, you know, what is the relationship between the two? And in that, because I do understand that we'll be talking about mostly the theory of that, but what I would like to get from you as a first question is, when it comes to that relationship between the people who are coming to work at a corporate, whose responsibility is it when it comes to actually even that person getting to that door? And even when the person is actually at the door, whose responsibility is it to actually empowering that person and actually giving them more opportunities? So I would really like to know from you ladies, who whose responsibility do you think it is, taking into account the fact that you have different people now getting into this corporate, and this corporate might have been formed by mainly majority a certain race, maybe majority of a certain gender. So in this space, especially when it comes to maybe our well-known corporates, in such a space, who do you think, whose responsibility is it? If Zanele wants to get into those doors, like, is it necessarily mainly my responsibility, or is it the corporate's responsibility? So I can give that to anyone who wants to start. Okay, so Zama would like to tackle that one first.
Hi, everyone. So with Zanele's question, over the past few months, I went through a bit of a transitional phase in my career. So I resigned from my job and I was really just trying to find myself. So I found myself going to a lot of interviews at a lot of these large corporates, you know, your banks, your listed companies. And for me, it was very important for me to understand and be comfortable with the company's stance on transformation, diversity, and inclusion. So when I go to my interviews, towards the end of the interview, they'll ask you, do you have any questions for us? And one of my questions was, you as a company have got this great transformation charter. You've got this great initiative to say that this is how we promote transformation, this is how we promote diversity. But should I join this firm, and should I walk into your board meetings, into your boardrooms, and into your corner offices, how much representation is there of people of color? And for me, and one of the panelists responded to me and said, that's the reason why you're here, and that's the reason why we invited you to this interview, is because we want people like you to be a part of our organization. And for me, I could have taken that in one of two ways. Is, do these people just want a Black person to fill up the numbers in their organization? Or are they actively saying that there is a gap, and there is a gap that we need to fill, and we're trying to recruit Black females in order for us to fill that gap? And then it was up to me to decide, do I take this as an opportunity to say, okay, there's an opportunity for me to join this certain company and for me to grow and move up the ranks? Of course, it's important to not let the black girl, what do they call it? The poster black girl title. You don't want to get employed just because you're the Black girl and they're gonna escalate you quickly. So it's very important to have those conversations up front when you go for interviews, so that they understand that this is how you feel about certain issues, and this is how I want to progress, and this is how I want to grow in the company. So I think for me, it comes with having conversations from the onset, so that everybody knows that I'm here to grow, I'm here to develop myself, and don't give me opportunities just because I'm a Black girl, but give me the opportunity because you see the potential in me and you know what I'm bringing to the table. So yeah, it's really about being vocal from the onset and putting it out there, so it's not a hush-hush issue when you join the firm or the company that you're looking to get into. I don't know if anybody else has had a similar experience.
Okay. Nande, you can go on.
Yes, so not a similar experience, Zama. I just want to share. Thank you, Zanele, for the definitions and the background that you've given us on the topic. I'd like to add on to that, where you said it's people coming together and forming this body, and with probably a purpose in mind of, this is what we want to achieve, this is where we want to take the business. But I think in a country like ours, it's especially with the bigger and older corporates, the challenge there comes in where maybe initially when the body was formed, it was like-minded people who got together and decided we all want this for this body that we're forming. And I think at the time they wouldn't have had the foresight into maybe 100 years from now, this is what South Africa is going to look like, or this, like when you start something without a plan too far into the future, then obviously that's where the gaps start to show, because now the country has evolved, the opportunities are there for people who are not like the people who started the corporates, and then that's where the expectation gaps start to creep in as well. So with your question with regards to the responsibility to empower a new person who walks through the door, my take on that is that as the country and as the demographics of the country have evolved over the years, then so should the purpose of the company as well. And like what Zama said, their policies on diversity, transformation, and that type of thing, those things should have evolved as quickly as the country was evolving, to ensure that by the time that we get to a place like this, when I walk into an interview, I don't have to feel insecure and think I'm only here because I'm going to be the poster Black girl. I'm here on merit and because I deserve it. So I think it's a two-way street, but we'd want to see the company or the corporate also playing its part in terms of ensuring that by the time you walk in, you have no doubt about your own abilities, so that you can meet each other halfway, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, Neo?
Oh, sorry. Okay. I actually agree with Nande and Zam on this. And I'd also like to go back to what Zanele said earlier about these corporations, and I'll use a South African context. They were established by a predominantly Caucasian group of men. And obviously we all know about apartheid. I don't think apartheid ever foresaw an end. So these corporations never considered incorporating a demographic of African, Indian, Asian women and men. So what we're having is, I think we can all agree that people of color are well educated, well intended, with great ambition. But the issue of whether or not you make it on merit will always be a moot subject. And the responsibility, which is what I learned, was that I have to be my own internal compass on whether or not I'm here on merit. You know how good you are, how talented you are. And sometimes you won't find a corporation that will let you know how talented and good you are. So sometimes you have to learn within yourself and cultivate a group of people in a corporation sometimes, or in your personal life, that reinforce that, that talent, because sometimes you won't find a corporation that does that. And sometimes it is because of what we call underlying racism and underlying prejudices that are there. And I've been a part of corporations that I think are well-intentioned about transformation, but sometimes don't implement it effectively. And I think it's always a complexity that we'll have. So in terms of our development, I had a very unique experience, but that will be a later thing. But the one thing, I think it's reciprocal. It's the corporate's responsibility, because they hired you, so they have a duty to train you and give you those opportunities. Sometimes they'll give you the opportunity, because I was in the mining sector. So I know I was the token Black unicorn girl who was in mining with a bunch of Afrikaner men. And sometimes that was because I was purely Black, but I took the opportunity and I said, whether or not you find me a token or that I'm here based on the fact that I'm Black, I'm gonna learn as much as I can, and I'm gonna create an expertise in that area. Sometimes you have to grab and force your way into a door, because sometimes someone's not gonna just gently open it. So I think it is a corporation's responsibility, but sometimes you might find that you haven't just hit that golden thread and found a corporation that values that system, and it's too late because you're already in there. So I believe it's also upon ourselves and as a group as well to empower each other and to continue to develop.
Aurelia, yes, you can continue. Thank you, Neo.
Let me unmute. I think Lebo put her hand up before me. Lebo, do you want to go?
You can go. I'll go after you.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that, ladies and Neo. And without like taking us back to apartheid and making it a racial issue, I also want to highlight, only just also from my background and personal experience, that sometimes it's not just the white people or who started the corporations that enforce those things. You'll find yourself going into a department where it's headed by a Black person who is the one who's interviewing you with another Black person from HR. Yes, they have requirements that they have to abide by, but you also find yourself, again, when I looked at the title of this, was that the issue then becomes even just a Black on Black thing, where I'm saying, because, we speak of white privilege, we speak of Black man privilege, we speak of white man privilege, we speak of pretty privilege and complexion privilege. It's a real thing, and it's things that, and I love what Newa said, which is sometimes you acknowledge, and we need to get to a point where you acknowledge your privilege, right? If you have that privilege, if you have the privilege of having had a better background than Unewo, or growing up in a different way. Let's say Unewo grew up in the farms, and the only time she went into the city is when she went to varsity, and she's already in a back foot of sorts. We could be studying the exact same degree, getting the same marks, and she might even be doing better than me, but because I'm already a step ahead just because of my background privilege. So I believe that people always, you're born into privilege in some instances, and it gets to the point where we can't use that as like the excuse, for a better word, anymore, because again, you can get into an organization. Sometimes you apply for a job where they'll say they will take the employment equity into account, and you know that fully well, but it's that thing that, okay, well, I'm not going to get in just because I'm Black, because there's another Black girl who's also going to the same interview, and she's not thinking, well, I'm not thinking Black, I'm thinking I've got this degree, I've got this experience, this is what I know, this is what I can do for that organization. So yes, it can get you in the door, but at most, what people struggle, and I've seen people struggle, even with the poster black boss or poster Black CEO, they struggle with maintenance. They struggle with maintaining that position because they haven't earned that position. They don't know what to do with this position because, again, they are being led by somebody else in the background. So I'm for that. Like, let's acknowledge there is a privilege for anybody. It's a privilege for us to be on this platform. It's a privilege for us to be able to be on this platform. And how do we then use it? How do you use it to help others? How do you use it to help yourself and get and reach your goals? So it's I'm really for this topic, and I think it's going to be quite robust because it's something that, from going into, like, I was working for a Jewish company that was my bursary sponsor for 4 years, got my degree, then was like, I want to spread my wings and be within an organization, right? That organization, having been the only Black girl in my previous workplace, I was now the youngest Black girl in a team of 9 Black people. And I felt more discriminated in that situation. Levo, you can.
Can I?
Levo, you can go ahead.
Okay. Wow. Awesome contributions. Where do I start? Firstly, just touching on the question, right? I think we need to also understand that what are corporates? Corporates are people. So to answer the question on whose responsibility is it, it's all about responsibilities. The corporate is not this thing, it is people. So it is us, the panelists, it is the attendees. Firstly, from your own personal career, if you want to make it in corporate, you have to be intentional about that, right? The race aspect, yes, it exists, and I'm just pausing that, but not dismissing that. I'll address that shortly. But we always have to start at the fact that it is your life, and I love how Zanele was talking in her intro about the why. And I think we should always encourage that it is your destiny, and you getting in firstly starts with you. From a corporate side, and as I think Aurelia now had touched on, also need to consider the dynamics of our country. We obviously came out of segregation just over 20 years ago, apartheid. And obviously the structure of our corporates, there's that huge inequality because as Black people for years, we weren't allowed to come in. But those inequalities right now are obviously unacceptable because we can't be having the minority consistently at the top with the Black majority at the bottom. But how we change that is not just saying corporate, is for each of us. Example, me being a corporate lawyer, and something I took seriously back when I was practicing in South Africa, is that I need to take it upon myself to make sure that any person that comes through those doors, especially somebody who actually is marginalized, be it a young Black female, I have to take it upon myself to help them grow with the organization. And likewise, she has to take it upon herself to make sure that she comes in, shows her best foot, like our work needs to speak for us. Because even though there's those barriers, and like Noah was saying, it's actually upon you to make the best out of that situation. And trust me, as much as the struggles exist, and I'm not saying it's a rosy, it's like this airy fairy road, but if you set your mind to it, and if we're intentional and we all play our role in being devoted to helping people of our color, people that were traditionally marginalized to come up, then trust me, we can make that change. I saw it in small steps within our organization, and like we've seen in corporate in South Africa, if you look at where we were in 1994, I mean, we forget that even public entities were predominantly white-owned. We forget that our listed companies didn't have Black female CEOs. Hell, they didn't have many Black directors, and we see that change. And that's good change, and it's not enough, but it's on each of us to help the other one grow. So when we say corporate, I think often we tend to say corporate, forgetting that corporate does not exist. Corporate is people, and as people, we need to be intentional, and we need to take that responsibility to make it a better place. As Black females, I feel the duty to make sure that any Black female that comes into, right here where I work, I'm the only Black person in my firm. So my duty tends to be more on the female side, because that's the next marginalized group. But in South Africa, I felt the duty that I had to take it upon myself to make the experience of the next Black female or the next Black person that comes in way better than mine was. And having been trained by a Black director, I saw somewhat of those differences. That, sometimes when you have somebody who understands your struggle and those difficulties, and that does the extra leg, and that understanding actually adds an extra layer in helping you get through, it really helped my personal growth, and it opened me up to doing the same for others.
Oh, thank you, ladies. I see Kim is getting ready to speak, but before you speak there, Kim, I just want to highlight certain things, because I like how everyone is being very positive. I like this. I just want to, because I've been taking notes here, and I just want to touch on few points that you actually raised. And I hope when Kim speaks, when Gile speaks, when Mosa speaks, they can also speak into this. Gile, I know we lost you for a minute there, but are you aware of what we're talking about now? The responsibilities? Are you aware, Gile? Okay, awesome. Okay, so now we can move forward. Everyone is on the same page. Okay, so I just want to take it back to what Zama was saying. So Zama said it's important to have the conversations when you get in. She did mention the fact that when you get in, instead of you being like the Black poster girl, it's important to have those conversations so that you see you're on the same page. So my question to you and to the rest of the ladies is, one, I do understand you are fortunate enough to get to a position whereby you have the conversation to have, but then we should be taking into account that there are people who are praying and sending CVs and doing so many things to get to the conversation. So please take that in mind when we are taking this conversation forward. And then the other thing that Nande touched on is that in as much as we do have corporates and now, like when it comes to the demographics, everything has been changing in our country, and therefore she mentioned something that I really needed clarity on. She said that when certain people, like maybe it can be a certain race, when you get into that corporate, because there was a certain purpose, now there's an expectation gap, right? So when it comes to that expectation, it would be great, Nande, if you can maybe jot that down. Like I really want to get into, because we don't want anyone getting into corporate and they have a certain expectation, and you know, like, I really want to understand what is the type of expectation that one might bring, and you know, just a clear example, so that when the students are watching this, okay, I think Aurelia wants to jump into that. Yes, Aurelia?
We're touching, and I like the expectations. I believe, like, especially with the platform that we have, the Professionist, our blog is passing the baton, which speaks exactly to all of this. It's us aspiring to be the woman. So we at intermediate level, there are women that are 50, 60, that are CEOs, board chair, everything that we aspire to be, right? And then there's students that are looking at us and they are going into corporate or going into the certain industries that we're in. So I would like everyone to be as honest as we can, because I'm opening myself up to that honesty to say, you know what, and I like what Lebogang said, was that thing that I think when I got into this big broadcasting industry in the legal department, I was called a Barbie in law, and I was like, oh, okay, so like, now what, you know? So that was meant to be an insult in some way, because you out here getting dressed up for work and you there bouncing about in your little corporate outfit. I'm just like, as long as I've got my work delivered, I don't think you have any leg to stand on to say that, well, you're just a Barbie walking around. No. And I've even said this to my GM before, and I was like, what you fail to understand is that I've got the same LLB degree as you, and mine is actually even better because mine is from like 2014 and yours is from 1947. So already there's problems there. I could be teaching you things because you need me, you know? So it was, you in corporate, you get to that point where you have to stand up for yourself. So if someone says, oh, you're only here because you're black, no, okay, sharp, yes, I am black, now what? I'm here though. So what are we gonna do? I'm here. Oksalayo, I'm here. Whether it's because I'm black, whether it's because I'm skinny, whether it's because it's black girl magic and I'm a brown skinned girl, it doesn't matter. Point is, I'm here, and I've also got the same degree as you, and mine is even better.
I like that, and Stha, I will be acknowledging you. And when you are saying your thoughts, I just want to close the question that I asked so that we do move forward. So I like how Aurelia came on, and that is the biggest part of the agenda, being like, how do we move forward? So I raised the point where I was like, there are still people who still need these type of conversations, and I like how Aurelia just closed it, and she's like, I have Professionista, and this is what we're doing. And I like that because I've seen it. I've seen even on their social media, taking on high school students, mentoring them. So this is great, because now for people who are watching, if you're wondering, what can I do for the people who still want to get to that conversation level? You know, start a Valo Learning Center, start a Professionista, do something about it. So I like the fact that we've actually, we have a solution there. And when it comes to the whole expectation gap, for now, Aurelia, I'll be honest, from how you explain, I feel like you touched on so many points around that, of which I like that. But then what I'm still lacking from my side is in terms of like the expectation that we're talking about. Which expectation gap were we really talking about? So maybe Nande, please clarify that. And I like the fact that Aurelia already has covered so many other points that were going to be brought up. So thank you, Aurelia, on that. And Stha, we will get to you. Can we just get this clarity on Nande, so that when we have an issue, we close it, we provide a solution, we move to the next one?
Yeah, so what I was referring to with the expectation gap, I think you've touched on it partly, where you said you don't just want to equip your students with the technical knowledge, because that's a given. By the time you get your degree, it's a given that you know what you're doing. And like Aurelia said, you're probably better than people who have been there for longer, because you have fresh knowledge, you have new ideas. So that's just a given. So my expectation gap comes in with the non-technical aspect of it. So you walk in on day one, you know that you know your stuff, and then someone steps up to you and says, hey, corporate Barbie, you know? And it kind of throws you off a bit, because no one tells you how to deal with situations where people judge you based on the way you look, people judge you on things that you probably have no control over, and you still expected to deliver the work. So where the gap comes in is where you think, like when you're still a student, you're optimistic that when I finish my studies, I'm going to take over the world. And you see this clear path for yourself that I'm going to climb the corporate ladder, I'm going to do this and that in so many years. But there are things that trip you up that you probably won't know about until you step into the environment. And these different things affect different people, you know, or affect people differently, if I can put it that way. So someone else has the strength to deal with a situation where you're being judged on how you dress, and you say, okay, thank you, I'm a queen, hello. And then someone else goes home and they think, maybe I should tone it down a bit, maybe I'm doing too much. And then it starts affecting other aspects of your being, such as your confidence. Next time you go into work, you don't look the way you really want to look, so it affects the way you present yourself outwardly, you know. So it's a lot of things that you have no way of knowing, but I guess that's what platforms like this are for. You have no way of knowing before you step into that environment. And then when you walk in, it hits you like a flood and you just don't know what to do. So I'm grateful for these chats so that your students can see, or your aspiring professionals can see, that it's not as rosy as it looks. Sure, you clock a salary at the end of the month and that's great, but what happens in between, and how do you deal with the things that impact you on a daily basis?
That clarifies it. And now we can marry it into what Aurelia was saying. So that's perfect. We can also close that. However, I just want to say, when it comes to the hands and everything that was happening, I remember when everyone was still chatting, the person who initially raised their hand was Kim, and then it was Stha, and then it was Mosa now. So maybe can we go into that order? Kim, you can then speak, and then Stha will speak, and then Mosa will speak, and then we'll hear, I think even Kelebogile wanted to speak after that. So yes, Kim.
Okay. Thanks very much, ladies. I enjoyed that interaction. I'm just going back to your first question where you asked, whose responsibility is it? And I agree with the ladies. It's actually a two-way street. You start the work, you prepare yourself for, like, you study and you prepare for the next phase of your career, and that is entering the workforce. So it's a two-way street. The company that employs you has that responsibility to make sure that they give you the tools so that you thrive in this new role. I listened to Newa earlier, and I could relate in that I've been in corporate for more than 10 years. And I've been in these organizations where diversity and inclusion, it's just words. It hasn't been properly articulated in terms of how they actually intend to support Black workers or workers of color with issues of discrimination, with issues of racial discrimination, of things of that sort. So I feel like companies haven't really articulated it, and it's got to do largely with where we come from as a country, which is something that most people have touched on already. So I think I also agree when Newa said that when opportunities arise, first of all, you need to be able to identify those opportunities. Once you're in corporate, you must be able to be in it and be aware of your surroundings and constantly be open to learn and be able to identify opportunities. And once you identify them, grab them, make the most of them. The race thing will always be there. And I think one shouldn't really focus too much on it. It's a problem. People say things that throw you off completely. I've heard it all. Trust me, I've heard it all. And like, I think I'm not sure who spoke just before me. She said it throws you off. It makes you doubt yourself. You don't know if you start questioning a lot of things. And I guess it's a part of the process, and that's how you learn and evolve and become the person that you eventually want to be. I mean, the CEOs that Aurelia mentioned, they've got all these scars that they've got from corporate, and I guess it's a part of the journey. But I think most importantly, it starts with yourself. You need to understand, why are you here? Why do you want to be the next CEO? How do you get there? And organizations have a long way to go in terms of supporting us as Black or women of color or men of color. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Stha?
Yes, guys. First of all, I'd also like to say I'm really enjoying the different mindsets and what everybody else is sharing. I'm getting to learn a lot. And something that I always remember that my brother said, he said to me, strive for success that goes beyond your demographic. And when he said that, that was because I said to him, you know what, I'm in China right now and I want to study Chinese. I want to learn Chinese so well so I can be this young Black woman that's fluent in Chinese and in business. How powerful will I be? And all he said to me was, strive for success that goes beyond your demographic. So even when you do walk into those interviews, Zama, and you ask the questions that you do, even when you walk into there, take off the veil of being a Black girl. Because sometimes now, previously, they used to look at being a Black girl as, oh no, you're disadvantaged. If we can be honest right now, being a Black woman is the way to go. Even white women are trying to be Black women out there, whether they're in corporate or not in corporate. So our superpower can be stepping out of the physical mold we're in and walking into our true potential, understanding the fact that, okay, cool, I'm advantaged. I got melanin on me, it's okay. But at the same time, I got brains. You know what I'm saying? I'm capable. So when you get into that position, no one can sway you. No one can tell you you're here because you're a Black girl. They can put you in a room full of just white guys and you'll still be able to come out with solutions that are noteworthy. And another thing I'd like to say that Aurelia mentioned that really resonated with me was what I always say, and it's the basis of Zanda Zonke and why I founded it. I believe that as women, we do not need to behave like men in order to be successful in leadership. Now you have things of so many women now, they're just modified men, right? You think you see a Black woman physically, but really on the inside, you talk to her, you see the way she walks, she's even one of the guys, you know what I'm saying? Now there's not that femininity. And those ladies that are at the bottom, like Aurelia mentioned, they'll call them Barbie, and they won't make it until they what? Put on the clothes of a man, figuratively. That's how they're gonna start climbing up the ranks. And it shouldn't be like that. We are women and we shouldn't need to change ourselves in order to be successful. Then what is it? Is it really women empowerment then? Or is it just the empowerment of women that are willing to modify themselves into men? Yeah.
I like that, Stha. I really like that. Mosa.
Hi there, Stha. Yo, that was fire, girl. I definitely agree with what Stha was saying. I'm very much about authenticity as a person, and I feel like, you know, as Zanele was saying at the beginning of this conversation, you know, corporate is comprised of people, right? And let's think about the people that started the corporates. You know, Zanele did touch on that as well. And for me, I've always had this notion of, you know, corporates weren't necessarily started by us as African people. And so the systems and the structures that are in place historically are not for us as Black people or African people. So it's sort of like we are now moving onto the turf of people that are not the same skin color as us, you know? And think about it this way: if somebody's moving onto your turf, would you, you know, open up your doors and be like, no, welcome, come in, you know? It's natural to expect that, you know, these people, and okay, let me try and be politically correct. So the people that started the corporates are not incentivized beyond compliance to accommodate people who are different from them, you know? And I think that's where the issue of transformation versus inclusion comes in, because we look at a lot of South African firms and big corporates and we see that, yes, they are transformed, but are they inclusive? I was actually listening to Nhlamu Dlomu She was the former CEO of KPMG, and she mentioned an analogy that summarizes this concept so well. She said, transformation is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. So yes, our firms are transformed, but inclusivity is still a very big issue that we need to work on. So question is, whose responsibility is that? Whose responsibility is it to make sure that we are included? And I think as, I think it was Lebogang was saying, it's very important for us to take on the responsibility on ourselves, right? It's everybody's responsibility, but as I touched on earlier, people who are already in corporate and that have set up the systems aren't necessarily incentivized to make, you know, people who are coming in comfortable, you know. So I think as Black women in particular, it's on us. And we also need to make sure that people that come after us are taken care of. And that is why we actually started an organization called Solopile. It was started by people who were a few years before us, but I actually had an opportunity to join the committee, because in as much as I wanted to join the transformation committee of the firm, you know, the same issues kept coming up. And it was a thing of everybody was complaining, but nothing was getting done about it, right? So for me, I felt like we can't really change the system as is until we get more representation in power, right? But what can we do in the interim, right? We can support ourselves, we can build ourselves up, we can think about our mindsets and how we approach these situations, which is something probably that we'll touch on a bit later. But I think it's definitely, it starts with us as young Black women. So I think it's our responsibility. And as Bonang said once, because I love Queen Bee, nobody owes you anything. And I'm a very big believer in that. No one owes you anything. And definitely we can't expect corporate to do this for us. We can't expect them to include us. And we need to include ourselves, form networks amongst ourselves until such time that we have representation with people in power, where I think then the systems will start changing to accommodate more people like us. So that's what I think.
Sorry. Okay, I was muted. Technology. Anyway, thank you for that, Mosa, Stha, Kim. Thank you for that. I do have some questions here, but I'm not going to say anything up until Kile. Do you want to say something, or should I continue?
Hi everyone. I had a bit of connection issues, so I'm currently here now. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. So, I mean, it's for me. I think I've been asked not to give.
I don't wanna. Can I ask that you introduce yourself? Can she introduce herself, because she didn't get an opportunity to?
We can do it at the end.
Okay, sure.
Oh, okay. Because when everyone was introducing themselves, when I was sorting out Stha, I thought you were part of the group that introduced themselves. But it's all right. Yeah, you can take any approach, Kile.
I'll do it sorry everyone, I'll do it at the end. I still have my manners, but I'll just wrap it up at the end and just you know, give a bit of background about myself. I just want to get right into the topic because I'm very passionate about this topic. You know, it hits me very hard, and I'm not going to give a textbook answer. I'm going to talk from my personal experience. So for me, I worked in an audit firm, and everyone knows. So most people will say the pits in modern term language. It was very difficult, and in, you know, trying to navigate my way into being a grown and professional woman in this day and age. So I remember my first client was a very difficult client, and it was a private equity. So in the firm that I worked in, only people of a certain color and preferably males would do certain sections in those type of entity. And I had a female Black, auditor in charge. And she put it forward, and she put us into the most difficult sections of that audit. So she paid it forward and said, I'm working with Black girls, and I need to make sure that these Black women get exposed to the most complex parts of this portion of work, so that when they get out of here, they also have the same advantage as someone of a different color, right? But also, when I was invited to get into those topics and to get into those complex subjects, I didn't sit back and say, oh my gosh, this is so difficult for me. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. I immersed myself into the role that she said for me. So I think it's both ways. So we as Black women in corporate, we need to sit at the table and lay out the chairs. But if I give you a chair, you must be willing to sit at the table with me. Does it make sense? So I guess the responsibility then is on us as women in corporate to say, okay, here are ladies that need my assistance to get up. And when I approach those certain ladies, they must also be willing to say, okay, Kele has said that this is an opportunity for me to grow. This is an opportunity for me to be a business, lioness. And with that, I'm also going to go into this route and actually immerse myself into this role. So for me, that was a personal experience, and it led into me being actually, going into jobs of private equity asset management, just because of that one opportunity when a Black female, someone who looks like me, someone who has the exact same experiences as me, was a leader and was given a leadership opportunity. And when she was there, she opened doors for me personally. I'm not saying it's every Black woman's responsibility to open doors, but whatever. But if you have the opportunity to just, mentor Black women, transform them from just being these trainees to being business leaders, then do that, yeah.
I like that, Kile. Thank you. Do you want to introduce yourself before we move forward, or you meant the end when everyone says bye?
Yes, so I'll just introduce myself at the end when everyone says bye, because I want to keep the
you want to generate that curiosity. People should be like, who is
yes
should I go to LinkedIn and check quickly?
No.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, so wow, ladies, like that's why I invited you guys, because I knew, oh my God, I knew people will be helped. I knew we will actually learn a lot. I am learning a lot. So the one thing that I just want to point out now is that last week I was actually listening to an interview, because I listen to like the Daily Show like every day on YouTube. Like I love the Daily Show by Trevor Noah. And Trevor Noah was interviewing this other guy. I think he's someone important. Sorry, I can't really remember his name. It's because he was just speaking on the background and I was doing something else. But then Trevor asked a question, and I like how that man responded. And he was like, oftentimes the question is more important than the answer, right? Like I really, I loved, like when he said that, I was like, oh, I really like that. And what I want to point out is that with what everyone is saying now, my intention, and I hope it's also everyone's intention, and by how everyone is carrying themselves, I can see it's everyone's intention. The intention is whenever someone is speaking, the intention is not necessarily to respond, but the intention is to understand. And that is why, as and when you're speaking, I'm taking notes and I'm just trying to understand, because I do think if we break certain layers and if we become more clear on what we are suggesting, then we can definitely achieve a lot, right? So I've made certain I've made like asterisks on things that I actually wanted to touch on, but then there are certain things that for example, like Lebu said something, and she was talking about how when it comes to positions should be earned, of which I do agree with. And also there was something that Kim touched on, and she said that when you do get into corporate, you have to identify opportunities and you have to be open to learning. Stha said something about stepping out of that physical appearance and removing that veil. So, and also Mosa touched on, you know, when it comes to transformation and inclusion, the way forward, right? And I like how Kile now also mentioned the whole thing about the AIC actually helping her up. And I also like the fact that most people have been talking about the fact that, okay, when you are in corporate, you should actually be taking someone's hand, right? So I just want to, taking into account everything that I've been listening to and trying to understand really, when it comes to, everyone has been tackling the whole thing of like, you have to take responsibility, your mindset, your intention. That's the theme that I've been hearing around, right? So when it comes to that, I know, because I also like on my YouTube and everywhere, I'll sit and be like, guys, your mindset, do this, do that. But I feel like when we say, you know, changing your mindset, sometimes it's not clear, like what's the first step to me changing my mindset? As you know, like I'm out here listening to this topic, someone was here early, they bought themselves 1 gig so that they can listen to us, but they're like, my mindset, like, you know, I've been in this type of community and with my challenges, you know, maybe I'm 20 years. How do you change the type of, I've been living with people who are the most pessimist, the most pessimist, like what do I do? What do I do in that instance? So that's my first question. My first question is, when it comes to setting the intention, when it comes to having the right mindset, what do you suggest? What's the first thing that someone can really do when it comes to getting to that point? Because everyone who's watching this can say that most of the ladies here, they've reached some sense of, you know, self-awareness type of stage. You know, when it comes to that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm sure there are people who are like, wow, the ladies here, I'm sure they are well there when it comes to really reaching within, of which we put a disclaimer saying we don't really know most of the things. But then when it comes to the mindset, I would really appreciate some practical suggestions for people who are still battling with that, and taking into account that they can be like a 25-year-old who's like, you know, obviously maybe they haven't been investing in themselves, maybe reading books or whatever, but then just for that person who's like, I'm ready to do something, but for you ladies, maybe what have you done and what can I do? So that's the first thing, right? And then the other thing is, you kept, and I'm gonna keep on actually touching on this. Kelebogile now just said, when she got into audit, there was someone who actually gave her a hand. And we keep on saying it's our responsibility to actually give other people a hand, right? And the other thing that Aurelia touched on earlier is that, in as much as, yes, we can see this as in like, you know, race up against race, it can be within the very same race, you know, the genders and all of that. So now the other thing is, so if you do get into an organization whereby maybe you are the first one and there's no one holding your hand, like, what are we suggesting? Are we suggesting change your mindset, you'll be fine? Is it where we're going? That's the other question. And the other question that I also want to put out there, and feel free to touch on whichever one you feel comfortable with. But then the other thing is that Kile kept on saying, like, especially with Aurelia, she was getting excited when she was like, okay, if you are on the table, you got a seat, you are there, you deserve to be there. I agree with that. But then the question is, and I remember having this conversation with someone where they said, I get the fact that we say, get there, eat, you deserve to be there. But then the person was like, but Zanele, remember, let's compare Pete and compare Masrame from Duduza, whereby Pete has been waking up every day with his father, Thomas, who is in corporate building a business. Like, Pete understands how everything is looking like. Like, when it comes to building a business, corporate world, you know, not everything is fair. Pete understands that. And then now you have Masrame from Duduzani Zone 1, who has been waking up. People are just going to work, coming back, watching Generations. And now Masrame is now getting into this particular big firm. And then they're expecting Masrame to work 20 hours. And Masrame is like, these people don't, like, Masrame feels like there's something wrong. Like, I'm being abused, because this was never a norm for Masrame. Like, this was never a norm. So when it comes to those instances whereby you do have these different types of people. Pete is used to the fact that my father used to sleep at like 3 a.m. in order to build this type of thing. My father had to like go to like maybe golf meetings to build networks and all of that. So now, let's say, yes, Maswami knows about a Stockfell where they are building networks, but then when it comes to this corporate type of like, you know, working super late, actually cutthroat type of thing, then, you know, what can we say to Masra? I mean, what do we recommend? And then the last point, the other question that I will just throw there is that, who said this? I think it's Mosa. So we kept on speaking about, these are the type of people who have been building these corporates, right? These are the type of people who've been building these corporates. And I just want to step back and say, there is build and there's the word create, but then there's also maintenance and growth. So when it comes to maintenance and growth, we can all acknowledge the fact that something that was built has to be maintained. And also it has to be maintained by someone, and most of the times it's the workforce. And in these big corporates, the workforce, that is now your general labor. Like, we are now stepping out from people who are like lawyers, accountants. We're talking about the general labor. These people are now the backbone of actually maintaining and actually growing these platforms. And there's this other video that I actually watched the other time, and sorry for not being able to give people credit, because sometimes I'm watching it very quickly. But then this guy was actually talking about the township economy and how all of these big corporates, like, for example, I'm gonna make an example. Obviously, it's just an hypothetical thingy situation. I'm not saying this is the fact, but let's say my partner, when he was in audit, he was working at Hollard Insurance, right? And then you look at their life, like their life insurance part of which is pumping so much money. When you look at that type of the business, that is ensuring that there's growth in this business, who are their ideal customers? Who's taking on this insurance? So it gets back to that topic of like, okay, yes, these corporates are big, but then when it comes to the maintenance, the backbone has actually been our general workers, which are people from the townships. And when it comes to the maintenance as well as the growth, for most of them, they really have to feed off the majority of the population, right? So those are the points. Feel free to touch on whichever one that you are comfortable with. But then as and when you were speaking, as and when I was trying to understand what you were saying, these are the things that I was thinking about. So feel free to just raise your hand and then you'll tackle either one that I have spoken about. Okay, so Aurelia has the hand, I think Neo as well. So it'll be Aurelia, Neo, and then Lebu.
Just to quickly touch time, I actually don't have too much time left, but I think what you're speaking about and the maintenance and corporates, and it's something that I obviously also came past when I got into a bigger corporate when I was like 5,000 people in one organization. It's the corporate culture. So if there's one thing, and again, the thing changing your mindset, sometimes like you get to a point where you understand the experiences that you've gone through in your life to build that character in yourself, right? And I think I've always been able, due to my experiences, to get to a point where I'm like, actually, I deserve to be here. And anybody who thinks otherwise obviously doesn't know what's up. And I've got like proof to say that I deserve to be here. I can give you that information. I can speak for myself. I can show you why I should be here. But then you get into, I mean, being in law, and obviously in myself diversifying, I'm constantly studying. While I was in the legal department, I was like, oh well, I've always been interested in compliance. I started doing compliance management course with UCT. Then after that, I did a postgrad with UJ. I did this and this just to just diversify myself. Yeah. And I remember when I wanted to now be like, okay, I need some practical experience in the compliance space. And it was, well, this is the corporate culture. And I'm like, so when you say maintenance, it's culture. So it's either you fit into the mold. If they don't have a culture of ethics, a culture of law, a culture of compliance, then you are almost expected to now fit into that mold of not having that culture. So I've always gone against it because I'm like, I don't need to. And I think having been raised by two business people, my grandparents, and having been in a position where my granddad said, in anything, you protect your name. So if you get into a role that you doubt, and where you think your ethics, your values, your beliefs may be compromised, you probably shouldn't be there in the first place. I've lost out on a lot of opportunities. I've lost out because I was like, I know my name. I know my name. I know what I can do. And if you ever put in a position where you could compromise your name, I'm always rather not. Doesn't matter how much it is, rather not, because one way or the other, I think there was a time where we spoke about reputation. You build this reputation for yourself of work ethic, and it takes one little mistake, one little thing to ruin 10 years of work for that name. So if you're now going to go into the mold of what if the corporate culture is that people steal sugar, you now fitting into that as well. So you have to really be careful about your name, careful about what you stand for, careful about your values, and yes, be willing to step on toes.
I really like that, Aurelia, and I'm just gonna try to summarize what you said so that I hope that everyone is with us, and I acknowledge the fact that you don't have the time, and I appreciate the fact that you made this time and actually made the most out of it. From what I was talking about when it comes to maintenance, I like how you spoke about in the areas that you've been, you know and understand your experiences, and you've gathered proof. So for other people who can't really link that, I just want to bring it to their attention that, and I've seen this as well for me. The moment I really understood the value that I'm bringing, and like I have documented it, I've put it in a bag, I really understand it, I can communicate it. That was the moment when I really, so I hope people understand that. And if you don't understand that, I have an IGTV on my Instagram where I was unpacking how you can actually communicate your value and what you are actually bringing to the table. And then the other thing that you kept on touching on is that when you're interested in something, you would look at, what's next, what's needed in this type of thing. And that goes back to continuous development, of which other people, for example, let's say I become a chartered accountant and I've always wanted to become a chartered accountant. Now I'm like, okay, now I relax, I am done, and yet I want to climb in on this corporate ladder. Like, it doesn't make sense if I don't bring that continuous development. And the other thing that you brought is that looking into culture, because it's amazing how the little things that you think you can overlook long term can actually change so many things. And in closing, you spoke about reputation, your reputation, and how the little things can actually just tarnish that. So I just want to take this moment to say thank you for coming through, and really I appreciate how you knew that you had limited time. So that's why when you were having technical difficulties, you took it upon you to actually drive the introduction so that we make most of that time. So I really do appreciate you. Thank you very much. And I'm sure all the attendees can say the same as well. So bye. I hope I'll be able to put this on YouTube afterwards so that other people can see how it unfolded. Bye, Aurelia. Okay, so ladies, now that Aurelia is logging out, we had, I think it was Neo and then Lebu. Yes.
Oh, I think Lebu was first. She can go first.
Okay, yes, Lebu.
Okay, well, quite a number of questions, but I saw also in the chat room, I think Mbali, or sorry if I got your name wrong, I didn't see the full name, asked a question, and going back to the whole mentality thing, I think from the onset, just from whether it's high school or even varsity, I think it's important to identify the what, why, and how. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how will you get it? And that touches on my earlier point about intention. I think just even going into corporate, we fill up our minds with so much other things that aren't about really what we want. We lose focus about what we want. And as such, we also somewhat crumble. Sometimes we make things worse, and we are a personal hindrance. So I think it's firstly important, and to all the attendees, to understand what, why, and how. Why, what do I want? If I want this job at said law firm, why do I want it? I want to be the next Jessica Pearson. I want to get the best exposure. And when you're thinking like that, then you get to, so like I was saying, you're identifying what. I want to be an amazing attorney. I want to be an amazing, or one day I want to be CEO or CFO. I want to be partner at a top law firm. Then why do I want to do this? We all have our various reasons. And then the how, right? So obviously, if I want to be a partner at a top law firm, I obviously need to get qualified as an attorney. You know, you look at that process from varsity to your articles. So even in law firms, whether you start at a small law firm, if you've identified what you want, it doesn't matter how you start. And I think the other thing our generation has is like, we want this microwave results. We all want to be at the top quicker. Whether you start at the bottom, if you identify that my goal is I want to be managing partner at the top law firm in Africa, whether it takes you till 50 to reach that, once you have that what identified, then you're able to plot the journey of why. And why I say this is, going back to the whole discussion on complexion and transformation, etc. When you know your what, and when you're at work and you're going through the most and you understand why you're there, your experience is somewhat different. Yes, it hurts. I know the feeling of sometimes you're feeling undervalued, invisible, or looked over. And there's times when you actually do want to quit or throw in the towel. But when you realize your what do I want? Then you could also look at your options. If my goal is I want to be a managing partner at a law firm, then at that point I can identify is my current problem the profession, is the current problem the organization I'm in, i.e. if it's the organization you're in, then now you also need to take the step to being like, okay, should I be addressing this at this organization, or should I be moving to another organization whose values are more aligned with what I want, whose progression line again is also more aligned to what I want. So I think it's very important to start off and also to continue it in your career. I know I have to personally remind myself what am I doing this for and what I'm trying to achieve with this. And then going back to the example of Fiat, and I can't remember the name of your other example, Zanele. But I think, again, when you've identified your what, yes, Fiat has whatever could possibly have white privilege, corporate dad privilege, but let me be honest with you, there are going to be a lot of people in society, in whether in corporate or in outside life, that just have a step ahead of you. Don't get stuck in what they're doing, because you will never get to where you want. What you do is, if you see that Fiat has an advantage, his dad is corporate, whatever, guys, there are books, there's YouTube, there's so many organizations. I know during varsity, one of the big impacts is I got involved in BMF on campus, and that just showed me the corporate world and helped build my esteem. So there's many organizations on campus, even as a professional. I mean, Aurelia has a professional Lisa on Instagram. There's so many, and I was looking at the profiles of some of the panelists, and people have amazing organizations where there's so many resources you can get. So to be honest, sometimes there's actually no real excuse, because you need to take charge. Now, don't get me wrong, there are difficulties, right? But there being challenges, there being mountains to climb doesn't mean it's impossible. If you are aiming to reach the top of Everest, then no matter how difficult it gets, if you've identified that as a goal, whether you need to pause at times, catch your breath, cry it out, and then get up and keep going, then once you have your goal, I feel like that really does help your journey. And going, like I was saying with the example of Fiat, is that, guys, no matter what advantage somebody has for you, then you be your badass self and be like, I'm going to be better. And not so much better because you're competing with them, but better in saying, I'm going to be the best I can be. If you're a reader, read books, you know, on whatever your career, make sure you put your attention to detail. People can't deny good work. I think one thing we tend to forget in our profession that we don't speak enough about, we tend to speak about everything around the fact that work hard and put your best product. And it goes to, I think Aurelia was talking about reputation. Let your work also speak for you. That way, when you build your own self-confidence in that, you know that whether I'm in this organization or the next, I know I'm a badass lawyer. So yes, X may not appreciate that, and it does take a knock on your self-esteem. But when you know you are showing up every day, when you know when a problem needs to be solved, when you know I actually can do this, that does make a difference. And then the other thing I want to touch on, and especially as people of color, I think we have a privilege that people don't speak enough about, and it's our hunger, our drive. People, you know, when you look back and you're like, I don't want to grow up worrying about a meal. I don't want to grow up in this XYZ situation. I'm lucky that my mom was somewhat of the driver that influenced me, but I know her ambitions was that I want my children to go to varsity. The opportunities I didn't have, I want. And I think that hunger, and I feel like there's no greater strength than the strength of a Black woman. I honestly feel like it's surreal, it's superpower level. And I think we need to stay in tune with that drive. Know that, remember, Pierre has the privilege. He doesn't know the struggle of having to figure out how you're putting the lights, how you're feeding yourself. You do, and that should be your motivation. We tend to look at that as our disadvantages, but that should be your drive, because when you wake up at 5 having to get to work or whatever, that's the thing you should tune into, knowing that this is not just a job to me, right? This is my dream. And then the one thing I realized, especially with us people of color, is once I make it, automatically there's somebody in my family who's impacted, right? And sometimes it doesn't even have to be through my financial contribution. Sometimes it's just seeing somebody being like, oh, she did it, oh, I can too. So I think that we need to tune into that and not lose sight with that. And then going back to, so to answer, I think it's Mbali's question, again, apologies if I'm having your name wrong. How do you move from trainee to a professional? It's firstly identifying the what. It's not just that I just want to be promoted. It's knowing that actually I want to be retained. I want to make it out of this trainee because I'm working towards being Jessica Pearson or whoever your heroes may be. When you understand that, whether you're not kept at that job, then you don't fold because you realize, wait, that's my ambition. So I'm going to go to the next thing and continue that on. And then you also realize that your responsibility is to give your best and also to help others. So for me, as somebody who's made it into corporate, even still climbing, I have my own personal goals. But I know it's my duty to make it better for those behind me. And I take that duty seriously. I think often we're like, oh, these corporations aren't transforming this. But if we look upon ourselves, we actually also aren't doing much, and we are privileged. If you, even as a trainee, you can help a student come up. Even as a student, you can help a high school kid come up, and showing them, whether it goes to telling them the various professions that they may not know, the various universities, NASPA's applications. There's so much we can do. We all have platforms, we all have resources. I feel like if you're able to join this webinar, then, there's so many resources you have. And I think it's just important that we all play our role in that. And then last thing to touch on, in corporate, the one thing I think that we also need is to support each other. If you're the only Black there, Black in your organization, or Black person, sorry, not Black. If you're the only Black person in your organization, there's other organizations, there's other people you can reach out to, there's other platforms you can reach out to. So you don't have to do things alone. And I realize sometimes when you speak about what's wrong, you realize that you're not the only person who has those struggles, and sometimes you're able to find out how to navigate those issues. So I do think that you should reach out and look at different platforms, networking around you in your career progression. Yeah.
thank you, Lebu. Yeah, I think we should have something whereby, like, if you want to talk, actually, the mic knows that you want to talk, so that you don't have to click unmute. But anyway, we have this now. Thank you, Lebu. Thank you very much. So yes, Neo.
Thanks again, Zanele. Just to start on the mindset question, I think everyone's covered most of it. I think the difficulty about mindset is that it's an internal thing. So it doesn't matter about what your background is. Your mindset is what determines your trajectory in life. So for instance, my dad didn't come from a privileged background. He grew up in a village in Venda. He was an involuntary vegetarian, but what his thing was he was like, I want to be the best. I want to be exactly where your Kobus is, or even greater. And he did that. And that was, and I think being raised by an athlete, his thing was, there's no substitute for hard work. He was like, you can be as talented as you think, but there is no substitute for you being the first person in the office and the last one out. So I go back to the fact that mindset, and I think everyone's touched on it, is the why. And if you want to be the best, you need to know more. And Socrates always says, the beginning of wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. So the mindset of saying, listen, you know what, there's so much to learn. So when I go into every scenario, I'm going to want to learn and learn the most. You don't want to necessarily be the one at the meeting who necessarily says the most, but you can sit there at the table knowing the most. And what that helps is, my dad always said the benefit about education, and I think Zanele and I have spoken about this, is that that's something that no one can take away from you. No one can take away your knowledge. So your mindset needs to be, once again, why do you want to do it? It's always to benefit yourself or to feed your family. That's the first step. But the second step, and I think Nande, I think maybe touched on it about expectation, is that there's no substitute for hard work. There's a saying that says, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you'll get a haircut, which means if you work hard long enough, there will be results. So that's the first step. You need to know, your mindset needs to be, as long as I stay on this path, there will be an end result for me. It might not be an easy road, and it's not an easy road. My personal experience, I worked at a corporation, great corporation for the most part. And the first man I worked for was an Indian man. And his thing was, the first thing he said to me, he was like, you're gonna have to work 10 times as hard as your white counterpart. And I was like, how dare you say that to me? Do you know who? And he was like, this, I don't care. I don't care where your degree was from. I don't care where you're from. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to work 10 times as hard. And me and my one friend who did articles under him for 6 months, got to work at 5, would leave at 11, Monday to Sunday. You can ask Lebo, we worked, it was Monday to Sunday. And I did that till I moved to Jersey. I continued working Monday to Sunday, even if I didn't need to. I said, if I'm gonna be a mining lawyer, I'm gonna know the most. If I'm gonna have to learn environmental law, I'm gonna sit here and learn the most. It wasn't always fun. You don't have the immediate gratification. And I think that's another thing you need to understand, is that no one is always going to give you a pat on the back to say, you know what, well done. That was amazing. Once again, it comes back to you knowing exactly what you want. If you know what, I want this thing, and I know what I'm talking about now because I've done the research, I've done the hard work, I've done the consistent hard working. That for you should be fulfillment enough. And once again, if you need that reinforcement, it's also about who you surround yourself with. You need that circle of people that reaffirm you and you reaffirm them. And to the next point about just helping one another. Once again, when you move from South Africa, you realize you come from a country where majority of the women or people around you are African, not necessarily in corporate, but at least you have a few, and then you come to a different place and you're more than just the minority, you're one of a kind. And in that place, once again, there are so many external atmospheres. You need to surround yourself with friends who are like-minded, who share a similar view, and not a similar view in the sense that you'll agree on everything, but the core values and the core foundation of what you guys value. So you're always going to inspire one another. And that's why I love this platform, is we're all very different. We all don't know each other, but we all share the same sentiment in supporting one another. And the key thing that comes with helping one another is, I think Lebo touched on it and everyone did, you have to take it upon yourself, and it needs to be something that you really need to cultivate and to say, it is my responsibility. If there is a woman of color in my corporation, I need to make sure that I teach her and train her, because you can't guarantee that she'll get that training. But you take that responsibility to say, I am going to give her whatever tools I can to make sure that she's fully equipped for the road ahead. And I did have, the Indian man really did equip me, because little did I know was that people started to realize I was the first one in and the last one out. And as much as there are racial undertones and discrimination, what someone can't deny is the fact that you're the first one in, the last one out. The fact that you know the answer, the fact that you've done the research. So sometimes that's always something you have to hold on to. And I know people say, sometimes I grow up around people who don't share that same value. It's true, but you can be the person that changes that pattern. It just starts with one person deciding, you know what, I see, I come from this environment that, you know, maybe not every, you know, people have given up on their dreams. I'm sure we all look at our parents or people around us. It just took them changing their mindset to say, you know what, I get it, but there's no limitation to what I can do. It might take me twice as long, but I'm gonna do it. So mindset, once again, comes down to who you, how you decide to carry that through. Unfortunately, nothing can really teach you that. It's a hunger. So the more you want something, the more you're going to change whatever you need to change to get there. And another thing about helping each other, I just believe in the fact of, yes, in a corporation, that's one way. Now that I know that all these great ladies have platforms, I'm gonna follow them. I recommend you guys do as well, because that's the first step. You support small Black businesses, you get behind them, you promote them. That's how we get it done. You change the narrative to say, you know what, a Black-owned business is a good business. Go invest there, go buy their products. That's the starting point from a business perspective. From a corporate perspective, someone might say, oh, Zanele, you know, her work is okay. You stand up and you say, no, actually, I think Zanele's work is great. You might not know Zanele's work at that time, but you're changing the narrative, because the narrative becomes the actual substance. And I had that happen to me, where I had people say, you know what, no, your work is, you know, but then again, I have this dad who was like, you are everything. You are all of it and more. And so when I went home, my dad was like, I did not raise this. My dad said, I did not raise you to think that you were less. So I had that reinforcement. So we need to be that reinforcement for each other. So when someone says, I don't know about someone's capabilities, I don't know about someone's business, I'm like, well, let's give it a shot. Let's check it out. Or I know about it and I think it's fantastic. Why don't you join? So I think another thing in supporting each other is changing the narrative about Black women and Black-owned businesses. A Black woman isn't always angry. A Black woman isn't always out here trying to fight. A Black business isn't always corrupt. A Black business isn't always on the corner of insolvency. A Black business can thrive. A Black woman can be a CEO. A Black woman can be a boss. And as soon as you start to change that narrative, people will start to believe the new narrative as opposed to the stereotype that has been obviously perpetuated for so long. But once again, another thing that I think goes on is that society makes us think that there's only space for one Black woman in the room. So when we got retained in our firm, Lebo, myself, and this other Black girl were in the corporate department. And when we found out that Lebo got retained, we both looked at each other and we were like, I guess that's it for us. And needless to say, we all got retained, but it was that mindset of there can only be one spot. And I love the clothing brand that says FUBU. It's for us, by us, which means, you know what? If someone's not going to set up a table and let you sit, why don't you create your own table? And that's where you have to get to. And that's why I love this platform, is to say, you know what? If corporate doesn't want to provide the table, we'll create our own table. Everyone here is educated. Everyone here is powerful. So you know what? We're going to create our own table, and we've got enough seats for everyone. There's no shortage. So I think that in general is my stance on us supporting each other, is knowing there's enough space for everyone. Guys, there's enough positions to go around. Don't listen to stats that say, you know, it's an oversaturated market. Call us up. If you have a quick, call us up. Honestly, go into LinkedIn, find people, follow them. I don't think anyone is out here saying we don't want to help. All you need to do is speak. Someone is willing to help. There's enough space for everyone. So yeah, that's my stance on that.
Oh, thank you, Neo. Thank you for that. Before I say anything, there was Stha who raised her hand, as well as Kile. Yes, Stha?
I love that. I absolutely love that, Neo. And yeah, I second every single thing you said. And another thing I'd also like to add onto that is the fact that in as much as we as the millennials are coming out now and saying, you know what, let's support one another, let's hold hands, let's empower each other. We need to understand the fact that when you walk into these large organizations and corporations, they've been set up for a long time. And the initial Black people that got in there don't necessarily, not all of them share the same mindset. Some of them could actually be the gatekeepers to your success because you're this young, driven, like Black person, and they're like, whoa, this one. So we need to also understand that sometimes, in as much as you might walk in and be like, oh, I see another Black face, but that Black face is not as happy to see you, you know? So understanding that it's okay. There are other people of color in other organizations and different places where you're going to be walking into, but also please leave that room for disappointment. Because one day when you're like, hey, I want to do this, this is what I want to do, you've got to be able to pick up the energy and be like, no, okay, this isn't the person. But don't be disheartened because it's not the only place to look. There are many other platforms, as was mentioned previously before by Neo. Yeah, there are many more other platforms. There are many more other people. And at the same time, if you can stay grounded to who you are, don't start now altering yourself to try please that other person. You need to stand firm in who you are and understand the fact that, okay, I'm here now and I feel ostracized. I feel like I'm an imposter. I feel like I'm not meant to be here. And the very person that I thought that was going to stand by me is the one making me feel like this now. So understanding and reminding yourself that it's okay. Focusing on your what, as Lebo said, and your why as well. You understand that this is where you want to be right now, and you're going to make a difference regardless of what else anybody else says. So by the time you do climb up the ranks, you know, and you've set that foundation of knowing who you are. You've been treated that way, so you don't ever want to treat anybody else that same way because you're working from a position of understanding how painful it is being the only person there, feeling like you don't have anyone to turn to.
Thank you very much, Stha, for that. I think Kim also raised. Oh, did she? Oh, I think
Kim is fine.
Oh, she probably wanted to say some parting words, but I unlocked it if she wants to like come back. But Nande was after Kim. Yes, Nande.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. I'd like to add to what Neo and Stha have said, which are like some very important things, especially when it comes to the room for disappointment, where the very people you look to for guidance will sometimes look at you and not be there for you. So I think it links back to your very important question, Zanele, on mindset. So my stance on mindset is that treat it as a journey more than a destination. So there's no magic pill. You're not going to wake up after this webinar tomorrow and feel inspired and ready to take on the day for the rest of your life. I can guarantee you that. So when I say it's a journey, for me personally, every day when I wake up, I have to look in the mirror and tell myself, yes, girl, you've got this, girl. If I have to listen to Beyonce's Brown Skin Girl to get myself going, then that's what I do. And also it comes back to how you step into the office as well as how you step out. So what do you do after a bad day? What kind of conversations are you having with yourself when the person you expected to teach you doesn't do that? Do you come home and you cry about it and tomorrow you know, I'm not going to try again, I'm discouraged, now everything is against me? Or do you come home and say, okay, babes, don't take this personally, it's not about you, maybe it's about them, maybe it's about something we don't know, maybe they want you to struggle the way that they struggled, but what are you going to do about it then? So for me, with the whole mindset chat, I think sometimes it depends on the situations, obviously, but sometimes you need to take the emotion out of it, where you don't take it as a personal attack, but you use that then to say, okay, what am I going to do differently? How do I approach this person if I'm willing to try? How do I approach this person to ensure that at the very least, I get everything I need to get the job done? So when you need to get the job done, sometimes it takes, all it takes is taking the emotion out of it and doing what you need to do to get to your how and to your why.
Thank you for that, Nande. For the panelists as well as the attendees, I really do think it's been a while now. It's been what, 2 hours? So can we wrap up by 3:30, because I know people have commitments. So what I'm gonna do now is that I know Kele raised her hand, as well as Zama. So maybe Kele will say something as well as Zama, and then because honestly, I don't know about the attendees, but most of my questions, actually all, not even most of my questions, all of my questions have been answered, and they've been clear, practical suggestions for everyone. And for the other panelists, if maybe when Kele as well as Zama is speaking, you can go through the comments and see when you are saying your parting words, which question you would like to answer from the attendees. That would really be helpful. So yes, Kele, you can continue.
So, I mean, nobody has, okay, maybe people have touched on it, but what for me stood out is the question about, you know, Masirame versus speed. You know, we have so many of those circumstances in corporate. We have circumstances where people cannot work overtime because they don't have a car, you know, and those situations, I mean, corporate is so weird in the fact that most people who are in corporate will have cars because they come from backgrounds where they can afford those resources. But because now I cannot work overtime because I don't have transport to go home, I'm left out of the important conversations that happen at overtime when I'm actually at home, you know? So, I mean, maybe it's a question from, I don't know if I can answer it, but it's also a question. So in my articles, what I did is there was an opportunity to join the transformation committee. And I remember speaking to one of my partners there, and I said to him, okay, so we have a situation where, you know, most of the Black trainees do not get the resources, they do not get the training that they need because, first of all, they're not involved in the crux of the work. And secondly, when they leave, everyone else has the, you know, the exposure to all those things that they won't have exposure to. And then, I mean, we developed a strategy whereby, you know, the kids who were now being left out were actually made heads of those particular audits, where they could actually lead those audits and get exposure to the work, where the partners could actually expose them to the crux of whatever was happening. So, I mean, if you know, there'll be a Masarame who can't speak for themselves, but if you're a Zanele, you're outspoken, and there are some partners that you know within the boardroom that you can say, okay, let's go through Zanele's work again. I'm losing my plot here. Where you can be a Zanele and be outspoken, you can actually approach a partner and say, we have this situation. I want us to work together so that we can help people who don't have these resources. You know, and I also like what Neo said, where she said that there were people who were not rooting for her, but there were also people who were like, okay, Neo, I've got you in my corner and I'm going to put you out there. You know, where are those people within this panel who are actually taking up Zanele and Abokele and saying, Zanele and Kele are outspoken, they can work, we can use these type of people to go forward within our businesses, within our, you know, within our company. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, the Masrames break my heart because there's no one that's actually lifting their hands for them. There's no one that's putting them onto the table, and nobody offers them a seat because they are unseen. Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, Kele. Yes, Zama?
So there's an information overload, and I am so grateful for this platform because I feel as if I can relate to each and every single person here and everything that they've shared. I mean, to what Neo and Stha and Lebo were sharing, the importance of mindset. When you step into corporate, you need to be headstrong because it's tough. And there's people constantly trying to prove to you, Uguti, you are not worthy. And you are not going to be as great and as amazing as you think you are. And it takes back to a point that Aurelia made earlier. Uguti, we suffer from this thing called the better black syndrome. When you step into corporate and there are other black women, other even black guys, they have this thing, Uguti, nah, her English is better, so she comes from a suburb. I'm not going to take her up with me. She needs to feel and she needs to understand the struggle that I went through. I'm not going to pull her up and bring her up just because, yeah, she's a black girl. No, she needs to also struggle because, I mean, that's just the sad reality that I've seen in, I've been in audit, and that is some of the truths that we don't necessarily like speak about. But amongst us black people, there's definitely a long way for us to go, and we have these forums, and we claim we're here, we're going to support each other, women empowerment, but really the truth of the matter is we want to be successful, but we don't want to see Zanele doing better than me. I'm going to put Zanele on, I'm going to put Stha on, but I want to be the audit partner, and I'm not going to invite Zanele or Stha to certain meetings. And getting back to the better black syndrome, you find that sometimes in order to get invited to meetings, and your own people will throw questions, they will throw things around to a point where they make sure that you are belittled and that the other race can see that, yeah, no, she's actually not on par as she should be. And it's some of the things that we experience, and it icks me the fact that as black women, we need to get the buy-in of the other race in order to succeed in corporate. Because as much as we can have these forums, as much as we can, be headstrong. And another thing is, when you are a headstrong, outspoken woman, you are perceived to be aggressive and you're a troublemaker. And nobody wants to bring the troublemaker to the top because she's going to cause problems for us. So I think, in as much as we fight as women and as black people and we want to be on top, it's sad that we still need the buy-in of the other race in order to move up in corporate. And that's definitely something that we should probably do another session on. We should definitely speak about this more, as how are we going to break this? How are we going to break this lenience, constantly having to lean on them to bring us up? And I think it goes back to, I can't remember, I think Stha's point, Uguti, we are going to create our own tables. And we really need to, as women, come together and start driving that narrative, because I'm tired of having to tiptoe and walk into meetings and not being able to voice what I want to say because I'm scared that my name will not be put up for a promotion because this one talks too much. We don't need that kind of trouble here. So there's a long way to go, but I think with these platforms and the more we engage Ganjena, we can definitely shake things up in the right way. There were so many other things that I wanted to say. There were so many other points that I had, but yeah, as Black women, we are working twice as harder. We are preparing for meetings. We are not sleeping the meetings before because we need to walk in there. Everything is seamless. We need to wear the red lipstick. We need the 6-inch heels. We need to look the part because, first of all, we need to make a presence. They first need to understand, okay, I'm here. And then over and above that, we are twice as prepared because we want to bring stuff to the table. We want to be heard. We don't want to be silenced. So, there's so much. But yeah, thank you so much, ladies. I've learned so much from everyone here. And there's also a couple of questions that I've seen that I'll probably respond to on my Instagram, or we can also discuss here. But yeah, we don't want to be silenced.
Cool. Thank you very much, Zama, for that. And for people who are the attendees, I just want to say, I don't know if you guys realize this, but for almost all the issues that we've touched on, like it's either another person provided a solution, or just like what Kayla was saying, like she spoke about the issue, and also gave us solutions about your Masirame one, and earlier on, like everyone touched on all the questions that we've been raising. So I think we're at a point where by now we've been talking about the issues, but we've also provided so many solutions, which is a great place to be in. And what we've agreed on is that we really need to create our own tables, and we are actively doing so, which is great. So I'm just going to say, I picked one question that I'll also answer. I think someone spoke about Zanele and fear and whatnot. So that will be the question that I'll be answering at the end when I'm closing everything. But then now I'm just gonna open it to you ladies to just have the parting words, because maybe other people got here late, or maybe they missed certain things, but this session is recording. I am not sure if I'll have it and it'll be proper quality, but what I know is that when I have it, it'll definitely go onto my YouTube channel so that other people can replay this. So I can assure you, if maybe you missed something, you will definitely get this on YouTube when I get my hands on it. I'll definitely download it. So we won't go back when it comes to answering some of the questions, because the thing is, when you've been having such conversations, when people touch on different things, you make the links and you see how there are so many solutions than issues that we address. So I do acknowledge and appreciate the fact that there are people who are listening, but they still feel like maybe we haven't addressed other things. But I can assure them, when they go back and replay this, they'll see that we've touched on way more than they can ever imagine. So now I'm just going to open up with just parting words. The question that you're answering from the attendees, and as well as your parting words. So ladies, maybe you can show me who's ready to say the first parting words. Okay, Mosa would like to answer a question and have her parting words. Yes, Mosa?
Okay, so I came to this discussion with one specific objective or thought that I wanted to share, especially with people that have not yet gone into corporate. Speaking to students, I think it's important to have your own experience, and especially as it relates to corporate and complexion, there's a lot of noise and a lot of experiences that go around, and maybe this conversation might have scared you a little bit, but I feel like, it's important to have your own experience. And definitely an example I think that we can all relate to is, speaking to, second years when we were all first years, asking how second year is, and second years being like, oh my gosh, it's so lit, like it's going down, it's bad. And when you get to second year, you're like, oh, okay, no, actually it's not that bad. So you might find that with corporate, it might be the same for you. So it's important to have your own experience. Don't allow other people's experiences or negative experiences especially to influence your outlook and your view towards other people going into corporate. So that's what I wanted to leave with everyone. And then I wanted to answer a specific question that was raised about entrepreneurs by Matsidisa, I think. So she asked for advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. I just started out, but I'd like to share tips that actually helped me in my journey so far. So I think most important is just start. So as soon as you have your idea or a problem that you identify that you want to solve, just start with research or whatever it is that you need to do to get you to the next stage of actually executing your idea and becoming a problem solver. So that is my advice. And a resource that you can use in terms of just getting started is the 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. That's an amazing book to read, especially if you struggle with taking action and you're trapped in your own thoughts most of the time. I think that's a great book to read. Also, I think you can also apply to corporate and Complexion. So I think there are a lot of lessons in there that if you apply to a corporate context as well, will be able to help you in being successful in that space as well. I think also networking, and I only learned the value of networks, I think, last year. Even starting my business now, and also joining another startup. I joined because I knew this guy from like 7 years ago when we studied at the same university. And actively maintaining your networks and putting yourself out there, I think, is very important as an entrepreneur, because that is your biggest resource, is your networks. And yeah, I think those are my closing thoughts. Thank you so much, Zanele, for having this. It was very insightful. I learned so much. Thank you. And I hope that the attendees also learned a lot as well. I'd like to make myself available for any more questions. So you can follow me at Mosa the Grace. I think my information is in the bios that Zanele and Valo put up. So if you want to reach out to me for any questions about articles, about starting your own business, or anything at all, then you can reach out to me via DM. Sure. I think you need to unmute yourself, Zanele.
My God, technology. Thank you, Mosa. And yeah, as and when you are doing this, instead of saying thank you, everyone, I'll personally acknowledge you. Thank you, Mosa. And I know everything that you just spoke about now, I know for sure, because I've been working with you on some of the things. I know you do implement the stuff that you're talking about now, and I like how you always talking about authenticity, and you are always yourself, and you're helping people with whatever you have. And guys, when Mosa is saying she's available to answer, definitely I know for sure she is available to answer anything. So do follow her from like on the Novalo Learning Center page, as well as the posts that I put on my Instagram. I did tag her, so please do that, because whenever she has time, I know she really gives it her all. So thank you, Mosa. And everyone, I also advise you to actually get the book, The 5 Seconds Rule by Mel Robbins. If you can't get the book now, go watch her TED talk where she was talking about the 5 second rule, because it makes a huge difference. So I think Nande was the one who wanted to answer a question and also have parting words. Thank you, Mosa.
Okay, so I saw a question. I don't know if I can find the participant's name, but they were basically asking, I think if I can summarize it, just how to navigate in a space where you're not getting the exposure that you need to progress. So my response to that is, these things do happen, right? And it's hurtful sometimes, because it's in a space where you know you're supposed to be learning. So as a graduate in a graduate program, you expect that all of these things are going to happen naturally for you. And sometimes it's really about the other person not being able to or not being willing to teach. So you have to take responsibility for your own learning in a situation like that. So take ownership of your own development, and see that the only way to get information from person A, B, and C is if I initiate that conversation. So what's very important in interactions such as those is your approach in your requests for information, I guess, if I can put it that way. So if you know a person is always shut down when you need information, or the person is reluctant to share knowledge, you take it upon yourself to say, okay, if they're trying to close the door on me, I will knock harder, I will knock that door down, but I will do what I need to do to get the information I need. So I can relate it to a personal experience, I guess, where sometimes you're even afraid of speaking up because you know you're not going to get the information that you need. So all you have to do is go into that person's office and make sure that they see you and they see that they need to acknowledge you. So I don't know if I'm answering that person's question, but also I want to link it to something that has been brought up by almost everyone, where we need to create safe spaces for ourselves. Because really, like everyone has said, there's enough room for all of us, but create a safe space for the people around you to exist, right? So if it means just when someone needs something from you, just being there like 100%, giving it your all, so that that person can also pay it forward to the next person and the next person, and that's how we're all going to grow as a network. And then I think my final parting words are just the lessons that we learn in corporate are not always gonna scream at you. You're not gonna sit back one day and be like, yeah, you know, everything that happened to me today taught me this and that. So just be aware of your surroundings. These lessons sometimes are gonna happen, and after the fact you realize, but I was supposed to learn this from that encounter with that person. So just be aware and take what you need to take from every experience and every encounter, and it's going to help you become the person that you need to be. And then finally, I like I said, I recently reached out to Zanele. So if there's anyone who's looking for a mentor or just someone to talk to or advice, specifically on the out of public practice route in CA trainee articles, you can reach out to me on my Instagram or my LinkedIn. Just search my name and surname, you're gonna find me. And yeah, all the best to everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the platform, and all of you ladies are amazing. I'm gonna find you all on Instagram and LinkedIn and follow you, and then yeah, let's be great.
Thank you, Nande, and I like how Nande, first of all, like she said she's available for mentorship, and I like how she found me on Instagram and she was like, hey, I'm available to help. I see you are helping the young people out here. What can I do? So I like how, in as much as we are sitting here saying, you know, you have to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility. I just want to highlight that Nande is one of the people where you can see, like, if she had not reached out to me, probably she wouldn't have been here, because, you know, I only know a few ladies here. I don't know everyone who's here. So that is just, it goes to show that most of the things that we're saying here, it's not just theory. We are practicing in our daily lives. So thank you, Nande. Ladies, who's next to say bye and answer a question? How you, okay, Zama. Okay, Zama, you can go. Other people want to be the last one.
Oh, the closing, the drops mic. I don't have much to say, but I just want to say thank you so much to all the ladies that are here today. Ifundo Olkulu. And I think for me, anyone stepping into corporate, never be afraid to ask the questions. Never think Uguti, whatever you ask is too stupid, it's too Always feel free to ask the question and put your hand up. Pela abo pirt, when they walk into corporate, they have assumed knowledge. So when you walk in there, and it speaks to what Kele was saying, especially in audit, put your hand up and say, I don't mind doing the impairment. I'm just as capable. So believe in yourself, believe in your capabilities. And another thing that I want to reiterate is the fact that I'm on a journey. I reached a point where it's like, I've qualified as a CA, but now what? What does that mean? What do I even do with it? It doesn't mean that just because now you've qualified as a lawyer, you've qualified as a CA, you've figured it out, you're at the peak of your career. It's a journey, and we need platforms like this to grow, to be exposed to a lot of opportunity. And it's okay to have qualified, but you still feel like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I haven't really found myself. So don't beat yourself up. Engage with other women, read, and it's a journey, and we're all here to hold each other's hands and really just help each other to find ourselves and to be the best version of ourselves. So yeah, thank you, ladies. And I'm on Instagram. I do respond to my DMs. I'm very I'm very low key, but I think after today, I'm going to open myself up a lot more to sharing experiences and to even having some of these seminars on my own pages, because I can see Uguti, it really helps and it's going to take us far. So thank you.
Thank you, Zama. I'm really grateful because Zama, for people who saw our Don't Rush challenge for CAs, that's the first time I actually got to interact with Zama. I didn't know Zama. It was through someone else who knew Zama. And honestly, like I invited her to this panel because I liked how proactive she is and how like she delivers very quickly. So when she's saying, you know, raise your hand, do this, that's what I've seen. Because Zama, let me tell you a little story. So Zama, we had people that we said, okay, we're gonna do this with these type of people. So obviously with any project, other people will tap out and all of that. And we're like, oh, we need more people. And I was like, there's only a day, we want to release this video tomorrow. We're not gonna get people. So let's just do it as like 3 of us. And then it's weird how someone just reached out to Zama, and Zama already had like a video that she did for herself. And we're like, okay, we'll just plug this in. But she had the willingness. She was like, no, I'll actually take time to do something that fits in with what you guys are doing. So it's the little things, especially when it comes to actually developing your networks. Because honestly, I'm not saying I'm the person that everyone wants to connect with, but honestly, I wouldn't have really taken interest in Zama had she not had that approach. Because with that approach, in as much as it's nothing important, it's just Don't Rush challenge, really, like, you know, changing clothes and all. So you might think that's not important, but it's weird how it led us here, and it was some form of networking. Because other people may think networking is, you know, being in a room, you know, wearing suits, drinking, speaking with some twang. Like, no, it starts with you at a grocery store and how you respect someone, or someone asking you to like pass their salt, or like at a like on a normal basis. Like, you know, when you read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's really how you build deep, meaningful networks. It's through you really, you know, trying to understand people and how you actually treat people in your daily lives. It can yield something else, something that is great, actually. So yeah, thank you, Zama. I really do appreciate you. Okay, ladies, who's next? Who's next to say bye? People don't want to say bye. Is that you, Neo? Okay, Neo will go. Okay, you can go, Neo. What are you saying, Neo?
No, I'm saying Lebu can go. I was pointing
okay. Okay, yes, Lebu, you can go. You can go.
So where do I start? Okay, to answer, so Kulu had a question on the barriers to good work. Now I would actually say there are no barriers to good work. Yes, maybe there are barriers in you gaining certain experience, but good work is actually a personal attribute. That's something you own. And I think, as many people have touched on, and I think now really expanded properly on this, is that if you're going to anything really, and you show up with that kind of work ethic, prioritizing good work, trust me, even if your partners or your colleagues don't directly appreciate that, and again, now I think elaborated on the fact that you may not get instant gratification, but keep at it. And that goes back to my initial point about the what you want, because that will definitely, sorry, I was just looking at my notes, that will definitely not cheat you. I swear to you, it's a golden principle. One of my role models, actually, Putimanyela, and she was even explaining her career, and she was just like, it's literally no magic. It's working hard, constantly producing good work, you know. And one thing I also wanted to encourage that Zama perfectly touched on is, yes, sometimes the people around you, and sometimes our people around us, don't always push you, but don't also just limit yourself as a Black person thinking my solutions need to come from Black people. You know, sometimes do speak up to your white colleague, your white counterpart. There's so much to learn. As women, learn from men. Black people learn from white people, and likewise teach them. I think we also need to be looking this inclusive. My tongue twist. Anyway, being inclusive is something that we all need to own and we all need to harness. And then I wanted to go on mentality. One thing I did want to touch on, and yes, we're like, it's all about a positive mentality and stuff, but don't be hard on yourself. There are times when we get knocked down. It sucks when you're not appreciated. It sucks when you're torn apart. Cry, feel low. I don't know whether it's ice cream or Netflix or just wallowing. It's okay. Don't put too much pressure on yourself for that, because I do feel like sometimes it's like positive mentality, but you're struggling because you're like, but I don't feel positive. I do feel undervalued. I actually don't. I've lost my why, but that's okay. But the one thing that you need to know is you have to move from that. So it's okay to be knocked down. That blow, yeah, it hurt. It hurt big time. Your jaw's broken. But heal and get up and be a better fighter than you ever were. And so I wanted to say that. And on a book, one important book I would recommend everybody to get is probably 100 Rand or something. And you can literally finish this book in a day or two, no lie. It's Who Moved My Cheese? I can't remember the author. Trust me when I say this, it's like the most golden book on mentality. When I'm low, it's literally the book that by the time I'm getting on that, okay, level, you need to get up. It's the book I turn to. Trust me, it's golden. I hope one thing you take out of this is no matter what your race is, no matter what your social background is, you are powerful. And like I said, as Black women, there really is melanin magic. It's not a myth. We really have this Black girl magic thing. So I just want to encourage you guys to, I don't know what happened, but anyway, I just want to encourage you guys to go forward, go hard. I'm on Instagram. My account's private, but if you send an ad, I will accept you. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also happy to help people with their CVs. Whatever assistance you need, feel free to just DM me and then I'll help. Yeah. And also thank you to all the ladies. Legit, honestly, this was pearls of wisdom for me personally. Thank you.
Thank you, Lebu. I think for Who Moved My Cheese, people who want the author, it's actually Spencer Jackson. I also love that book because it's on mindset. It's on being able to adapt, and that's what we need now, because obviously we've been talking about corporate, and now you get there are no Black people or the other people. You really need that book. So I'm grateful for that suggestion. And I like how you spoke about hard work and good work, but you didn't only just say hard work and good work, you said consistently working hard. I think people miss that. Like, people think, but I worked hard there, but has it been consistent? Because most of the time, if it's consistent, it will be noticed and you will reap some benefits from it. So I really, really like that. And I like how you touched on the fact that when it comes to people who can help you, it doesn't mean it's only us. Like, other races are open to helping. Like, I know other races and genders who have been like, I'm betting on Zanele, and because of that, they were able to open up so many things for me. And even Dr. Judy Lamine on her book, she keeps on talking about that on okay, you guys know the book that I'm talking about.
Equal but different.
Yes, equal but different. She keeps on speaking about the fact that, yes, as Black women, we really want to move forward, but we do have to acknowledge the fact that we should be working with other races. We should be working with other genders. So I'm grateful that you actually touched on that point, and being kind to yourself. Because it's like sometimes we just want to be machines, especially when you see that, okay, I'm working hard and there are results. It's like all you want is just that. And whenever you work hard and there are no results or there's no feedback, it's like you question yourself, and then self-doubt, all of these things come back. So that was great. Thank you for that advice, Lebu. And I've been touching on how I met people. So Lebu, I met her here in Jersey, and I'm grateful for actually having meeting Lebu, because in like, it's been few months, but I've learned a lot. Like, I've learned a lot from Lebo, and I just appreciate what she has done for us South Africans here in Jersey. She's been basically a glue for almost all of us. Because honestly, in as much as other people can think maybe I'm an extrovert or whatnot, but I'm an introvert and I don't like being with like other people. And like, I feel like in a certain way, Lebo has pushed me, and I've tried to like join the gatherings and really get to know other people. And I'm really, really grateful for what she's doing for us, because it's through that I can get to actually network and meet other people. So Lebo, thank you for all that you do. I really do appreciate you. Okay, so Newa.
Auzi, no, thank you again for this platform. I think you've started something really great. You know, we've spoken. And to the ladies on the panel as well, excellence on levels. I'm just so proud of each of the ladies and what they're doing. It's fantastic to see women doing great things. It's really such a great thing. And I'm excited to support all these businesses and ventures. So please do share all your various ventures and businesses, so that we can also bring our group of people that we know in different places and bring that together and pull together what we need to push it forward. Yeah, just on a closing note, fantastic platform. As everyone I think has said, I hope it's just been an introduction to also you realizing that there are people out here who are willing to share and help, that you're not alone in your journey, that corporate is what it is, but it's also what you make it. So there's nothing that can honestly prevent you from moving forward. Honestly, I think the main thing in us being a success is also what this is, which is a part of collaboration. And collaboration means coming together and sharing and giving and taking. So I hope that in your different respective fields, send us DMs. I'm sure Zanele will share that. My account was private, but now I think we'll make it public. So please do DM us if you need any help in anything, because once again, I always say sometimes you don't know the answer, but you know the person who knows the answer. And that's another thing is, you know, I have a keen interest in business. I'm a lawyer, but my focal point is more business, and I know people in that field more than I do in law. Doesn't mean I know every business answer, but I know someone who does. So sometimes Zanele, I was saying Zanele is a CA. I don't know anything about balancing sheets, but I know that I can go to her. So I think this is a great platform for us to connect. And if you guys have any questions to help with anything, really reach out to us, and we're definitely willing to help. And I think to just sum it up, the main thing is don't ever give up, and don't ever think that you are not worthy of taking up space on this earth. I think this universe said that, but as in, you deserve to be where you want to be. You deserve to be a success. So have that mindset of believing that you deserve to have people in your corner. So I think everyone here is willing to be in your corner, and everyone here is willing to help. Because as I said, there's enough space for everybody, you know? So thank you again, Zanele. Hopefully we continue to do something of the sort, and hopefully, you know, the participants have, you know, taken something home from it. Once again, you don't wake up and have all the answers. Sometimes hindsight is always 20/20. You always look back and say, oh, you learned something in hindsight. So hopefully you can take these little gems and share them with your friends. So once again, hopefully you can help the next person in any little way. Every little thing counts. Every little, you know, you can do this counts. And always remember that no door is technically closed. Knock, who knows, it might be open. And if it's not open, I heard someone say, bash it down. Why not? So yeah, hopefully you guys have all taken something home, and hopefully this kind of starts a new revolution from South Africa growing into Africa. So hopefully, oh yeah, and Lebo says her Instagram account is now open. So that's great. So follow Lebo, it's open now for everyone to follow her as well. So yes, guys, we're on LinkedIn and all various platforms, and hopefully this starts a revolution, and hopefully we as women of color and all the participants can start creating a revolution where we are starting to empower every single person and every single business to be a success. So I'm excited. So thanks again, Zanele. This is fantastic, my friend. You know, thank you.
Zanele, we need a part 2 and 3 and 4.
I agree, ladies. I agree. This has been, I just want to say, Newo, my friend, thank you. I appreciate you. I really, the thing is, ladies, where I met Newo, I met Newo here in Jersey as well. But it's weird how I feel like I saw so much of myself in you. Like, and I really, like, I was so inspired more than anything. Like, I've always been so inspired whenever, like, we get to talk, even if it's just about a little thing. I know that I take away something. And I like the fact that we both have that passion for education. And I didn't say this on Lebu, but Lebu's passion to build South Africa, guys, like, in years' time, if Lebu becomes the president, it won't be something that we shock, like, oh, Lebu is the president. Like, Lebu actually has, the passion to build South Africa. Wow, Lebu. So yeah, please follow Lebu on that. But we're on Newa. Newa, like, I am grateful for you. And what she said earlier on like, knowing so many people in business. Now for Valo, whenever I'm struggling with certain things, I'm just like, friend, I need this and this type of solution. What do you think? And then she points me in certain directions. So I'm grateful, and I like the fact that you said that this is a start to something great. And I like the fact that we are already practicing what we are preaching, and we are ready to take it out there and actually empower more people with it. So thank you, Nelo. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Let's see. Now we have 2 people, Kile and Stha, who would like to take. Okay, so Stha would go on that one. Yes, Stha.
Yes, guys, I'd also like to say I'm very grateful and thank you so much for the insightful conversations that we've been having. And just to answer the question on entrepreneurship, just what Mosa said, just start. And in all my interviews, that's literally what I always say. And when I was in university, I did the big chop on my hair and my afro started growing. People were coming to me, asking me, yo, girl, your hair, what are you doing? How are you making it grow? I was like, I see an opportunity here. So guess what I did? I literally opened up my own little natural hair salon at Res. So people would come and they'd have the whole experience. I do it according to appointments because obviously I was still studying. I couldn't do it all the time. But with my lays, with my juice in a wine glass, because we're good kids. So I did that. And I can't plait hair still to this day. So I partnered up with one of my friends who knew how to plait hair. So we literally started a business based on that. What happened? I woke up one day and I was like, okay, let me do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to charge. I didn't know where I was going to find my people. I didn't know whether I was going to be able to sustain it. But the important thing is I just started. So it's important to just start. Stop thinking about too much of the logistics, right? A lot of the people just get caught too much thinking, oh, about my business plan, I need to be able to figure out my financial projections. I need to know how I'm going to be able to do A, B, C, D, and that, you get caught up in that and you end up not doing it. But once you get into it, you're able to say, okay, no, cool, this isn't working out. I thought it was going to work out, right? But it's not working out, and be humble enough to say, okay, as in, it's time to pivot. It's time to pivot, and it's okay. Pivoting and changing direction or changing completely what you thought you would have been doing is completely fine. We need to stop putting our own confined ideas of what success is on other people. Someone who's 45 and got their degree at that age, it's still the same degree as somebody that got that at 23. It's still the same degree. You look at it, they're just different names probably, but it's still the same. You probably thought right now by this age, you'd be married with kids, with a big mansion, driving a Range Rover with many different cars that you can pick, oh guys, George. So that you can pick from. But we need to understand that it's life. life happens, guys. I know the people that get onto the media and everything, you see, oh, Boma 23, this girl's so young, she's doing this, she started that. But where are the people that have had things happen to them, had real life situations take place, where they were thrown off and now they started their business at the age of 50? The founder of KFC, that guy, he had his business only, Colonel Sanders only had his recipe approved at the age of, what was it, 84? How old? I don't know, but he was really old. And he made it big. To this day, we all know of KFC. So don't get too caught up in saying, oh, this person, 25-year-old, just started their own thing. Oh, wow, young one is doing this, young one is doing that. It's okay. Sometimes you got to just focus on your lane. And I've got this on my YouTube channel where I say, focus on your lane. You might be scrolling on your social media feeling unworthy and like, oh, wow, this person's doing this. That one is doing that. And sometimes it's not because you're jealous, but it's just that you're not in the right position in your life where you're able to take that right now, where you're sensitive, you know your potential, but you're just sensitive right now because someone else is at a different spot to you in your life. So you can mute. It's okay. You can mute. You can unfollow if you're brave enough. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. We just need to start now normalizing paying attention to our mental health. And another thing also not to neglect, sorry guys, I'm gonna finish here. One of my tweets that recently like trended sort of, it has like 70-something thousand likes in like 24 hours and retweets 20-something thousand. And that's when I said, no guys, I'm not flexing. So that's when I said normalize asking difficult questions in the beginning of relationships. And I don't mean now, what I listed there were a list of questions in personal relationships, as in like boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, your partner. But that also applies now in professional relationships as well. So those of you who want to be entrepreneurs, and those of you saying you want to start embarking on that, be able to ask the difficult questions right in the beginning, because you're so excited. You're like, we can do everything together. I'm gonna give you 50% of my company. 3 months down the line, you're like, I don't like this person. They're inefficient. I put in so much effort, and so we've got to start now normalizing asking those difficult questions, and also ask yourself difficult questions. Be real with yourself. Be real with yourself and say, okay, you know what? I'm not ready for this kind of thing, or I'm just not okay right now. One more thing now. I'm almost done. Next month, I'm launching my membership club, because so many people have been reaching out to me, and from all over the world, funny enough, have been reaching out saying, hey, Stha, how do we scale up our business? Can you help us with our professional and personal relationships as well? And I am a certified life coach, but that aside, I'm also a businesswoman. So I am launching the Elite Empress Club. It's the foundation of it. It's queens building empires holding hands. So it's a community, right? So if you'd like to be a part of that, I've already received tons of emails from lots of women who want to know as soon as I've launched. Please can you email club@sthamavundla.com, and yeah, you'll definitely get to know that. And my Insta handle is @Stha_Mavundla, Twitter as well, then LinkedIn, Stha Mavundla. And I really, really, really I'm so honored to have been here with you ladies. You're such smart women, and I can't wait to learn more from you.
Thank you, Stha. That was great. Count me in for this Elite Empress Club. I'm gonna sign in, and I'm also gonna put the link on my social media platforms as well. I would really love to be part of that. I like how when you're talking about, with entrepreneurs, like when you want to start something, but you're questioning so many things, and you're thinking about business plan, but this, but that, and you spoke about the importance of pivoting. I don't know, but I'm assuming you've read the book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. because yeah, he's basically saying everything we're speaking about. For the entrepreneurs who want to start, please, I highly recommend that book, The Lean Startup, because it's basically saying everything Stha was saying. Like, all you have to do is start, try out. You'll find out that people didn't really need the product that you've been planning for 24 months. But if you started and you actually launched it in month 3, then, you know, you still have all the other months to actually improve and do and pivot to something else that is better. So I really do appreciate that. And I like how you spoke about the comparison trap, because it's a reality, especially when it comes to social media now. It is a reality. And just to close that up, so how I got to know Stha is that, I don't know, but I saw you on social media, and obviously I saw your natural, beautiful hair, and I was like, okay, let me see Stha. And then there was a video on your Instagram where she was talking about equity and equality, I think. And then it was, yeah, obviously with your marketing strategies or skills as well, that caught my attention. I was like, I want to watch this. So she was like quiet for like few seconds, and she was like, I hope that made you feel uncomfortable, because this and this makes me feel uncomfortable when it comes to equality. And, you know, she was talking about all of these things, and I was like, wow, what a force. Like, I really have to get in touch with her. And literally that's how I got in touch with her, and I just messaged. Oh, and fortunately she was also following me, and she commented on the work that I'm doing. But that's where we took it from there. So, you know, when all the ladies here keep on saying, follow us on LinkedIn, ask us questions, like, that's how these relationships actually develop. Like, now we can't be meeting in a room in Sandton anymore. Stha is in Beijing, we are in Jersey, like, we are all in different parts of the world, but look at what we can achieve now. So I just wanted to highlight that, you know, the power of social media. Obviously, with everything, there are pros and cons, but if you look at the pros and actually maximize on that, you can really achieve a lot. And yeah, I appreciate you, Stha. And even when I actually approached you, I like the fact that you didn't say, but I'm not in corporate, I'm only, you know, doing my own business, I won't fit in. You were just like, what? I'm in. So I really like your willingness to help, and you have contributed a lot as well in this platform. So thank you. Okay, so Kile, you are the last lady, and we'll only know now what you do. Kile, imagine. Oh my God. Okay, Kile, let's hear. So did Kile? Oh, okay, Kile.
I was
continue.
on mute, so I wanted to ask, like, when everyone was introducing themselves, what do I say? Do I start from? Do I just
No, do it
bio?
however way, because your one is different already. It's at the end. So do what makes you feel comfortable.
Okay, everybody. My name is Kelebogile Lehasa. I am from a very small town called Bloemfontein, repping the Free State. Yeah, so that's basically who I am, where I'm from. And I was very lucky that, you know, during my high school career, I worked hard and pushed, and I got a scholarship to go study at the University of Cape Town. And then after that, I got to move to, you know, Johannesburg to do my articles. I was also involved in the transformation committee within my firm. And lucky enough, I applied for this job. They placed me in New York. And while I was in New York, you know, I worked a lot on the asset management side, which then pushed me to say, you know what, actually in South Africa, I want us to, you know, start developing investment products, you know, boutiques that cater to our type of market, which is the Black people that nobody caters to when you think about it. So that's basically what I do. And then I'm also currently a director on our own companies, and it's an accounting consulting startup that one of the ladies here is also a part of. And yeah, that's what we do on a business, you know, day-to-day operations, I guess. Yeah. Okay, should I say my final words?
Yes, you can say your
Okay.
parting words, yes.
I mean, when I joined this webinar, I was hoping to gain more of the authentic experiences that we have in corporate. And with all the ladies that have spoken, I'm glad to say that I got exposure to that, and I could see, you know, some of my experiences in everyone else's story. I just want to tell the ladies that, you know, you're enough, you're worthy. I don't think Black girls hear that they're enough a lot. And when we step into corporate, we start doubting ourselves from day one, because you don't look like the people amongst you, and you don't think you're going to get to the top. So I just want ladies to know that they are worthy and they're enough. You are qualified, and you do represent excellence. You do represent all those things that are required in your jobs. And yeah, and I think my last words would be, we need people in corporate to actually tell real stories. It can't always be Stha, Zanele, Kele, you know. So you guys must also find solutions, problems within your, you know, your communities, provide solutions, be those anchors that can also tell the next generation about the real life corporate stories. Yeah, and the book that I always recommend is The Other Story by Judy Dlamini. It's just a, you know, a normal book about people who were just finding their ways, and they became, you know, powerhouses within Africa. And they were normal people like you and I, you know. And as someone who comes from a not so privileged background, I always love her stories, because she wasn't so privileged, and she made it so raw and so real. And whenever I'm in these corporate settings, I'm always like, where is the authentic people? Where are the authentic leaders? You know what I mean? So, I mean, thank you for this opportunity. It was my first time. And as a true Kasi girl, I had connection issues, which won't happen in the near future. But yeah, thank you for letting us tell our stories as raw and authentic as they are. And I think I also want to thank the ladies for also being as raw and authentic, you know. Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you, Kile. Yeah, obviously when it comes to connection and technology, we'll get to that point where we all don't have those issues. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, because Kile is also one of the people who reached out to me on social media and said, I'm here to help, I'm here to mentor people, plug me in wherever. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And she touched on, she kept on saying, you are enough, you are qualified. And just to give you an example, because I haven't had as many interactions with Kile, but for example, when we're doing the promo poster for actually this event, the first draft of the poster, like everyone had the same size of picture, and then Kila's picture was like the tiny one, because it was next to like the the whole the title of the whole event rather. And like for me, because I was looking at it from a creator's perspective, and the fact that this took me hours to do and this looks perfect, I'm so proud of my product. But it's like Kila looked at it and she was like, you know, and I really like what you did, because there are people who would be in corporate and something doesn't sit right. Like maybe people are submitting the corporate profile, and maybe their picture is bigger because of BE, and where BE doesn't matter, now they don't have a picture of them in the corporate profile. There are such instances, and if you don't speak on the little things, like it's that my friend always says, if maybe the waiter is bringing you something and you don't like it, if you can't challenge that, then how are you going to challenge anything else in the boardroom? So honestly, I really, really like that. I like the fact that you are like, no, like for me, this is not sitting well with me. I know I deserve to be, you know, on a table with these ladies. Why do I have a picture that is like half their size? And you're like, and you also approached it with humility, because when it goes back to what people say about an angry Black woman and whatnot, like it wasn't like that. You came to me and you're like, Zanele, this is not really, you know, can we find other ways so that my picture is also the same size as the other ladies? I can send you another picture. Can we move the tagline on top? Like, I like the fact that you came with solutions instead of just complaining like, Zanele, am I not important? What do you think? So I appreciate you, and I appreciate the fact that what you are saying now, you are actually practicing in the little things, because I do believe that we can speak about all these things that we should be doing, but, you know, we have to actually start by doing them in all our little engagements. So for my closing, I'm not going to say much because you guys said a lot, but I just want to say, Kile, I appreciate you, and ladies, I appreciate all of you. I'm just going to answer a question and just close it. So Lunyelwa, the question that Lunyelwa directed to me was all about eliminating fear. Like, where do you start when it comes to this? What do I suggest? So for me, I really do think fear will always be there. So only, like, we are always waking towards. So another book that I'll also recommend is Being Comfortable with Uncertainty by Pema Chodron. So like, fear will always be there. Fear will always be there. So the only thing that you can do really is to actually always put yourself in those spaces where you are always uncomfortable. So always try out something that scares you. Like, it doesn't have to be at work. It can be, you know, in your personal, for example, other people might think this doesn't scare me because I have my YouTube channel. I'm always doing IGTVs. But honestly, I don't like talking about race. Like, most of the times I don't like being in a room where everyone is speaking, because I'm an introvert and I always feel like I just want to listen and take it in. I'm all reflective. But this was one of the things where I was like, I'm afraid to talk about race. I really don't like being in a room where everyone is like talking and debating and all of that. But I was like, this scares me, so it's a good thing. So that means I should do it. So that's why you guys are actually seeing this, because I took a step to doing something that I'm really, really, really uncomfortable doing. So to answer you, Lungela, I would say just, it doesn't have to be this big, obviously, but just the little things. I think it was, I can't remember the celebrity, but there was a celebrity that was saying her dad always used to ask her every day, every night at the dinner table, the dad would be like, what did you fail in today? Like, what was your biggest failure today? And if they didn't fail in anything, the dad would be so disappointed. Like, the dad didn't really want to know about all the great things. Yes, they acknowledged the great things, but they were more interested on what did you fail on? Because the more you are comfortable with uncertainty, and the more you are always hugging your fears, it can push you to, like, you know, like doing so many other things. So that is my answer to Lunyelwa. And for me, in closing, I'm really not gonna say much. I feel like all you ladies already said a lot. There isn't really much that I can add to so much wisdom and like advice that you have given. So from my side, I'm just gonna say thanks to all the attendees that gave time to actually come on this webinar, because this was our first webinar. I'm overwhelmed by the support, by the mere fact that actually it has even locked out so many people because it was really, really full. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for you ladies bringing and being generous with what you know, talking about the real things that are happening in corporate, and as well giving solutions for people who are not yet there and for the people who are already there. So everyone has shared their handles, but if you didn't get hold of their handles, you can just go to my page or go to the Novalo Learning Center page. We have tagged all the ladies. You can start following them there on Instagram as well as on LinkedIn. So yeah, from my side, I just want to say thanks to everyone. I am grateful and will definitely do more of these, because definitely there is a need. There is a need, and I'm glad there are people who are willing to share their time and experiences to actually fulfill this. So thank you, ladies. Bye.
Bye.